Friday night, and we've got football here at Vikings Stadium. We've got a fun one on our hands. Ryan Shell, Zane Massey, Kyle Danahill, and Max Agress on the call tonight. And our call is going to be a little bit different tonight. We got a scoreboard for you guys this week, so we're happy about that. We're still having a little bit of issues here, so bear with us. If anything happens on stream, please let us know in the chat, and then we'll try to go ahead and fix whatever issues might be at hand. But thank you for joining us this evening. So before the play even actually happened, there was a 15-yard penalty on the Vikings, and unsportsmanlike will send the Vikings back to start off this game. So Laney, coming off of a little chippy game against San Joaquin Delta last week, they decided to bring the chippy edge once again, and they ran through the DVC side of the field. DVC did not take too kindly to it, and their players decided to curse out the Laney Eagles. So the rivalry is still alive and well. So Austin Hertz will be the deep man for the Vikings, and to be honest, receiving the ball first, this is not the worst thing. It'd actually be worse if you were kicking the ball off, because obviously you're kicking a further field and you're giving them more opportunity for a good return. But because the Vikings got the ball first, Laney will be kicking it off from midfield at the 50-yard line. I expect to possibly see a touchback and then just see all things going as normal.
Because of a penalty in warm-up.
Yeah, like you said, Max. It's fortunate to have this on when you're receiving rather than kicking off. Get the fair catch, start the drive off at the 20.
And so Diego Camacho to kick it off for the Laney Eagles. Pardon me, that's actually number 91, Billy Hewitt, who's coming off of a hamstring injury from a couple weeks back, and he'll boot it away first. Swings the right leg at end-over-end kick, and this one will go just right of the upright. So we know he's got a big leg under him if he gets an opportunity to kick tonight. But first coming out to the field, it will be the Vikings. They're led by their sophomore quarterback out of Pittsburgh High School, Jerry Johnson. Kyle, Jerry's been up and down this year. Tell me the good, tell me the bad.
Yeah, the main thing with Jerry is just consistency. If he's able to stay consistent, he throws a really nice ball. He's got good touch on his deep passes. It's just the consistency part and being able to read the defense, play in and play out, and just trying to keep this DVC offense on schedule.
And the Vikings will get the ball from the 25-yard line between the hashes to start this game out. They come out in a traditional shotgun spread. Jerry Johnson leading the charge. Motions the slot receiver across the formation, so it's 3 on the near-hand side. It's a hand up over the Crib. Crib having plenty of space out past the 35-yard line, and he's tackled, marked down after a gain 11. Eric Moody, the linebacker, made the tackle. And that might be one of the best runs we've seen from Crib this season. Not much room running the ball inside, but this time a gashing hole and a first down for the Vikes to get us started.
That can be a big thing for DVC today. If they're able to establish that run early, takes a lot off the quarterback and consistency woes that he's had, and just get him off to a good start in manageable situations.
From the Vikings 36, coming out in the shotgun once more. 2 receivers on each side as Johnson calls for the ball. It's a belt high snap. He looks towards the forehand side, throws the go route down the far side, and then coming back just for the ball. The ball was brought in, but just a little out of bounds. Brian Pierce Jr. doing everything right, just couldn't get the feet down.
I wish we had a replay on that, because I don't know if he didn't get a foot down or not. That was an incredible catch and a great throw by Jerry to start the game off. We talked about his deep ball and his deep ball touch being a positive. You saw it right there, even though it wasn't a completion. It was a great ball, great placement. Wide receiver did everything he could to try to bring that in.
So now from just outside of the near hash mark, working left to right, the Vikings in their white domes, green jerseys, green pants, and the white trim will hand it off. Nope, it's a play-action fake. Throws over the near-hand side, over to Elijah Alonso, and Alonso trampling over the defender to make the tackle. That was Marvin Lipsy, the safety, making the tackle, but another nice pickup for the Vikings. Didn't get anything on that first play, obviously, so it's going to be 3rd down and manageable now, about 3rd down and 4 from the 42.
Pickup of 6.
I like that play call on 2nd down, though. Get it into a playmaker's hands, get him out in space. Does a good job picking up 6 yards on a little screen play off the play action. Get yourself into 3rd and 4. Yeah, 3rd and 4.
Yeah, 3rd and manageable, and you do get a couple of yards. Maybe even think about going for it on 4th down. The Vikings have done that quite a lot this year. trips out to the forehand side over after the motion. It's a high snap right into the chest area, and a broken tackle over at the 50-yard line, continuing to fight, turning down past the 35 of the Eagles, and tackled down at the 32-yard line. Nate Glenn came up to finish the play, but a terrific pickup on third down for the Vikes.
Yeah, just a little out route on the sticks, able to break the first tackle and get out into open space and turn a simple 5-yard out route into a 25-yard big play to get them into plus territory.
So the Vikings hurry up to the ball. Now they actually are taking a little bit of time as they shifted the package. Now they bring in Peichel, the tight end, for the first time. He's lined up off the left side of the line. Motioning Peichel from left to right from the far hash mark. It's a pistol look for Johnson. Handoff over to Cribb. Cribb yanked down from his shoulder for just a moment, but he's able to continue to fight, continue to churn, and all that energy and effort exerted will only get him a gain of 1 on the play. 2nd down and 9.
Good job by go ahead.
Makai Esther's making the tackle. Sorry about that.
No,
Go ahead.
Good. It was a good job by Cribb just trying to keep his, feet going. But Laney did a really good job stopping him at the line and swarm tackling and not letting him get into open space after he broke that first tackle.
Yeah, when you're scrimmaging your team all week long, you expect a team like Laney that obviously runs the ball a lot to be able to have their defense used to it, but the Vikings are getting a little bit of their running game going in this early going. A stretch over the right side. Cribb with the one-step cut back, and Cribb with a gash of 5 goes forward over to the 26-yard line. So another 3rd down and manageable for the Vikings now. Just staying on track.
Staying on track, and so far early in this game, DVC's really liked running to that right side of the line, running off the right guard and right tackle. That won't be a stretch play, but it'll be interesting to see if that's the side that they want to try to establish and dominate tonight.
Jaden Clark came up for the tackle for the Laney Eagles, and the Vikings, about 4 yards away from the first down marker and 6 yards away from the red zone, will try to score on their opening possession this evening. They are within field goal range as Peichel motions left to right once more. Johnson's out of the shotgun from the near hash mark, and it's a fake sweep off the fingertips of a defensive end, and that was number 49 on the deflection. That was the linebacker Nate Glenn. So the Vikings are in this situation where from here it'd be about, let's call it a 39-yard field goal attempt, and it looks like the offense will stay out on the field.
That was a really good job by Laney's defensive end right there, getting his hands up because they had the slant open on the far side of the field. Laney went to a single high coverage there on 3rd and 4, trying to play press man. Got bailed out a little by the D end.
And so now the Vikings going for it on 4th and 4 from the 26-yard line of the Eagles. It'll be a pass. Johnson hit as he throws through it in front of Ely. Ely just did not really see that ball coming. It went within the vicinity of Ely, but Ely just unable to pick up the ball. Jaden Lawton came up from a blitz, and he was the one that made the pressure on the play. So the Vikings, despite being on track, despite having a lot of success in this early going, will turn it over on downs to start the game.
I don't mind going for it right there, though. You're kind of in no man's land. You don't want to give Laney the ball near the 45-yard line. Sorry, 35-yard line.
Yeah, I get it, but I want to see points on the board. We know Zane Hall can come out here and kick it away, and we know he's got enough leg to make that play. Yes, I like to see you get aggressive, but at some point you got to just take the points. And it's a pistol look this time for the Laney quarterback, Marcus Sanders. He's going to be the first quarterback that we see, and it's a fake end around reverse, and nope, it was a handoff on the first attempt here. The Vikings were keen to it, and it's a tackle for loss of 1 on the play. I believe that should be Simeon Milan, the running back on the play. Couldn't get a number on the Vikings player, but this is something you expect to see a lot of. Like Saunders is technically, he was the backup coming into this game. 6'5", 220, a freshman out of James Logan. He took over for Jackson Holt, who got injured after the 3rd game of the season. And he's been up and down. He's a big quarterback. He can see over the defense and really stand tall in the pocket. But he's been more of a game facilitator up to this point. and a shotgun look for him. The fullback is over in the backfield, and now we're going to see a shift. So one of the offensive tackles comes over, and it's an offset line. They'll hand it off over to that weak side of the line over in a jet sweep, and the handoff went to Samaje Featherstone, and the Vikings were right on top of it once more. And Marcel Anderson coming up to make the tackle from his defensive back position, and 2 plays for the Laney Eagles and 2 negative plays forced by the Vikings defense.
Yeah, really good job by the Vikings defense not getting rattled or confused right there. It's not often you see the left tackle go into motion.
And then the tight end lines up at left tackle.
Exactly, and then see the run go right at the new left tackle tight end. So really good job of keeping contained by the Vikings right there.
Pistol look for Sanders as he motions his receiver over into the slot. That's Alex Baldry, if I'm not mistaken. Sprint out right. Saunders' eyes are downfield, and he's wrapped up at the 11-yard line. Malik Viewins comes back, and he makes a huge play. A sack of 10-plus yards, and it's 4th down, negative yardage for the Eagles, and the Vikings punt return team will take the field. Brian Pierce Jr., the deep man, line up at the 50-yard line.
Great start by the DVC Vikings defense. 3 plays, 3 negative plays by the Laney offense right there, forced by the Vikings defense. There were no mistakes, just good play.
Nate Glenn coming out to punt it. It's a high snap. The linebacker / punter comes out. It's a high punt that won't get much past the 25-yard line. Takes a bounce down at the 30-yard line, taking a big Laney bounce, and this one will be fielded down on top of the C of the Vikings C logo, and the Vikes will get it deep inside of Laney territory, spot it down at the 40-yard line. Only about a 16-yard punt on the play.
I think they got a little lucky too, DVC. The ref said that there was a deflection on the punt. Don't know if I've ever seen a spiral after a deflection before. They got lucky because that could have been a running into or possibly even a roughing the kicker call, which would not have been good after such a great defensive start.
1 penalty to start off the game for the Vikings after that trash talking going on in pregame. And the Vikings come back out working left to right with Jerry Johnson at quarterback once more. Johnson throws it off the fingertips of Damani Burrell. Burrell had to lean a little too far forward, and you can see Johnson right now. He's strumming his hands almost like he's playing a guitar. He's saying, hey, my bad.
And that's the
came off the fingertips.
Yeah, that's the consistency part that we were talking about. He did a really good job in that first possession, getting the ball down the field, hitting his open targets, making the easy throw. That time they tried to start him off with the easy screen pass, and it just goes a little wide to the wide receiver to start off.
So 2nd down and 10 from the 40 after the really hard punt from the Laney side of the field. Vikings out in the pistol, and they'll hand it off, and it's a play-action fake. Rolling out to his right-hand side is Johnson. Johnson throws it. Just too far in front of Austin Hurst. No, pardon me. That's Deshaun Smith II. He was the intended receiver on the play. And Kyle, I saw you pointing it out right away. You wanted him to throw that ball way earlier.
Yeah, he had it. That's a hard one without knowing how things were supposed to be run at practice and the way they practice it. He had him. The wide receiver might have taken a little too many juke moves at the top of the route, which might have disrupted the timing of it all, because if he just went, he didn't need to make any moves. The DB was beat bad from the start.
And so the Vikings out of the shotgun on 3rd down and 10. We'll take it here. Belt high snap. Johnson's pressure. Johnson just has to throw that ball away. The pressure came as a jailbreak blitz from Laney College, and the Vikings have an interesting decision here. You just forced a hard punt situation for Laney. You got the ball at the 40-yard line, but I think you've got to punt it away here on 4th and 10 from the 40 of Laney.
Yeah, I agree. Even though you're on plus side, kind of in no man's land, 3 plays with no yards doesn't give the OC a lot of confidence to go for it on 4th and 10 typically.
Yeah, especially after you were so on track and doing so well. That's something I want to see the Vikings do a little bit better, is staying on track instead of maybe having these little miscues that put you behind the chains and then unable to really implement your game plan. So Zane Hall will come out. He will be the punter for DVC, and a delay of game on DVC there. This is something we saw last week as well. The Vikings started the game with, I believe, 2 or 3 delay of game calls in the first half of play. But to be honest, in this situation, that might have been intentional.
It might have been. Give the punter a little more room to kick off. Try to pin them deep.
And Zane Hall awaits the snap now as the ball spotted down at the 45-yard line. Chest high snap. Low swirling punt. That will be fair caught at the 11-yard line. And that is number 80. That's Julian Milton, the 5'10 freshman out of Skyline, getting his first punt return of the season. So typically Khalid Robinson is the punt returner for Laney. But no harm, no foul. The ball spotted down at just about where the Vikings got the sack from Malik Viewins. And the Laney College Eagles will come out trying to get their first positive play of the game.
Yeah, and that's just where you'd like to see the DVC's offense at least get one first down in the last possession. It's a team game. Defense did a really good job. You want to try to get them a breather on the sideline in between possessions. 3 plays later, they're back out there.
Vikings playing man-to-man across the board. One single high safety, but he's about 7 yards away from the line of scrimmage. Pistol look for Laney, and it's a play-action fake. Saunders rolling out to his right-hand side, throws it off the fingertips of a Vikings defender. That was Anthony Munoz in coverage, and that was a dangerous ball thrown into the DVC Vikings zone.
Yeah, he was kind of in no man's land on what to do. The DVC DN did a really good job of cutting the corner off, not letting him get it outside of the pocket. He had to stop early. The backside rush was getting home, and he either had to throw it or take a safety, and he took a chance. Unfortunately for Laney, it got dropped.
Up back off the right side, and the 2-back pistol once more for Sanders. Sanders facing the pressure. Vikings send the blitz, and it's a handoff up the middle. And ran right into a Vikings defensive lineman right off the bat, and Simeon Milan only gets a gain of 1 on the play. But that will be the first positive yardage play for the Eagles this evening. The tackle made by Joshua Leiston, the defensive tackle.
DVC's defense has really come out to play today. They're flying to the football. They're playing good coverage. The DNs have been able to apply a lot of good pressure to the quarterback here early.
And just like that, it's 3rd down and 8, 3rd and long with 7:50 remaining here in the first quarter in this knotted up game at 0. Nobody has scored so far. DVC had some success on offense. Laney trying to find something here. Sanders play action fake, throws it over to the fullback, caught at the 24-yard line, and a nice pickup. I believe that was Jeremiah Caldwell, the fullback, coming out running some nice routes as Dylan Leo eventually makes the tackle. And this is something we talked about before the game, Kyle. The wide receivers haven't had necessarily too much production, but the trick plays and the fullbacks coming out after a really well-sold blocking scheme and the tight ends in the situation, they do well in the system.
Yeah, they are, and especially because Laney does a lot of their passing off the play action. So when you're play action passing, you're either going to take that deep shot typically to the wide receiver, or it's going to be those tight ends running the crossing routes or post or corner routes or something like that, or fullbacks out of the backfield.
Double motion once more. Move the tight end and the fullback, and the handoff once more. Nope, it's a play action fake off the fingertips of another Vikings defender, and that's the 3rd tip we've seen this game. The tip was made by Nico Bowler, the linebacker for the Vikings, and a flag came in. What do you think this one is, Kyle?
That one's in a weird spot. I don't know. Normally I have a good guess.
Yeah, it was like, I might be holding. And it's an eligible receiver downfield. And that's something you got to factor in when you have such a heavy running team. You've got to think about it. The offensive linemen are thinking run almost every single time. I mean, if you look at the averages, Sanders only passes about 16 times a game.
Yeah, especially on those RPOs when it gets held for a little longer and it doesn't come out right away. Those linemen don't know if it's a run or a pass once the play starts.
And now a handoff to the right side, a nice cut back, falling forward, using that momentum to drop back to just about the original line of scrimmage as Cameron Moore makes the tackle for the Vikings, and a nice pickup, making it 2nd down and 10 after the ineligible man downfield penalty.
Yeah, DVC's bringing all their safeties down. Laney on the play where they got the flag had somebody deep. So let's see if they go for that post again.
Tight inside of the box, and it'll be a toss over to Nishimoto once more. Nishimoto, no place to go. Nishimoto dropped after a gain of 1, and Nico Bowler scraping down the line to make this smack on the running back.
Good tackle from number 6.
3rd down and 11 on the play. I do actually like what Laney is doing, despite the fact that they haven't had too much production. A lot of creativity and trying to force the Vikings to make a mistake, and that's something we've seen. The Vikings will play some stout defense, but one small mistake will end up unraveling the ball, so the Vikings staying true right now. And a timeout from the officials here.
DVC.
DVC takes the timeout. So with DVC taking the timeout, we'll take the timeout as well here. A knotted up game at 0 with 5:54 remaining in the first quarter of play. Battle for third place in the basics between the Vikings and the Eagles.
Snack bar tonight to quell those.
Back here at Viking Stadium as we've got a 0-0 game. Both goose eggs still on the big board for the Vikings as they use their first timeout on defense. So it's a 3rd down and 12 for the Laney Eagles from the 23-yard line, and it's a shotgun look for Marcus Sanders. Milan is off his right hip. Vikings playing a man-to-man coverage across the board. One safety high. Sanders standing tall in the pocket. Sanders pressured, comes from behind, and a huge hit as the ball pops out. The Vikings might be on top of it as Anthony Henry came up with the blitz.
Anthony Henry, number 4, the sack.
What a terrific play from Henry, screaming off the side of the line, coming back, fighting for it, never giving up. And maybe this is why you don't typically see Sanders come out in a traditional drop back. You usually see a play action fake almost every time he passes the ball. Had to take it in a 3rd down and long, and the Vikings made him pay.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't hear what the official said.
We had an inadvertent whistle. Replay 3rd down, it looks like.
Wow. What a killer. Anthony Henry, in our hearts, you still got that sack, but on paper, unfortunately, that one got scrapped. What a backbreaker play, but the Vikings are still in the driver's seat in this possession. It's 3rd down and 12, and the clock is still running, 5:20 counting down in this 4th quarter of play, and we'll see what this Laney staff has to offer. I don't expect them to go traditional drop back again, do you, Cal?
You know, it's hard to go play action when it's 3rd and 12, though.
Yeah.
You know, the DNs are still going to be out wide. They're still going to be crashing hard like it's a traditional drop back because you have
a very late substitution as the Vikings able to get off at the last possible second, and they're in the wide 9 right now. Another drop back, and it's a draw this time. A handoff over to Nishimoto, and Nishimoto gets about 7 on the carry, but unfortunate for him and the Lady Eagles, it will be a punt upcoming. Nico Bowler stayed true to his coverage, stayed in front of it, read the draw at the last second, and was able to make the tackle, forcing a punt.
And that right there is why it's hard to run play action on 3rd and 12 because the DNs can still go up the field hard to play out wide, and even if you run the draw or a run play up the middle, the linebackers have plenty of room to make that tackle before the 1st down marker.
Pierce Jr., the punt returner once more,
Ooh.
And this will be a penalty on the Vikings as they fall into the legs of the linebacker/punter Nate Glenn, and the Vikings will not get away with it twice in a row. They sent a ton of pressure at the punter, and there you go, Nate Glenn jumping up, celebrating with his backup tight end, and that'll be a 15-yard penalty for roughing the punter, and the Laney drive will continue here with 4:08 remaining in the first quarter of play.
Nate Glenn also deserves an Oscar for that play, too. He did get hit. I'm not saying that didn't deserve a flag, but the way he went down, it's him and Leo at the top of my Oscar ratings right now.
I think it's fair to say that would have been roughing regardless of the flop or not because you hit the plant leg. If you hit the front leg, it's roughing, and that'll be a 5-yard penalty, and it'll still be 4th down. But when you hit that plant leg, beautiful acting job. I think he's got the SAG calling his line right now, trying to get him some benefits.
Absolutely. If he's not going to act, they can also use him as a writer right now. So either way, he's good to go.
What do you mean ChatGPT is taking over, isn't it? Aren't they? Up back off the right-hand side, and it's a pistol look for Saunders, lining up from the 45-yard line. A drive kept alive by that penalty here. Stretch over the left side, and that was Simeon who ran forward and got a gain of 9 on the play before being brought down by Isaiah Nobriga. And this is something that you expect to see. Another, they'll actually say it's a 10-yard gain on the play as Simeon Milan makes the, gets his, I believe that's his second carry of the game. But this is what you expect to see from Laney. If they don't get knocked out of their system with negative plays, expect to see 40, 45, even 50 handoffs in this game. And another stretch. A cutback this time will be Milan once more. And Milan was stood up after only a gain of 2 on the play, as the Vikings were keen to it this time around. Nico Buller alongside Isaiah Nobriga making the tackle.
And DVC's defense just needs to keep playing hard. They did a really good job the first possession. Offense goes 3 and out. They've been on the field for a long time at this point. They were able to get 4th down, get the Laney punt team out there, have the roughing the kicker. So not a lot of breaks, a lot of plays continuously.
And a shotgun look for Sanders now as it's another handoff up the middle. Just a hard, tough running play. He got the handoff that was, I believe, 6 once more million, and it just looked like he lowered his head and was trying to pile drive his way all the way down as he brings it past the 40-yard line, and a pickup of 6 on the play as Laney hurries up to the field. Laney out of the shotgun once more. It'll be another handoff over to Million. And Milan getting a gain of 2 as a flag comes in late on the play. He will get the first down if this is not against the Vikings. And I think this might go against the Eagles here.
I think it's going to be first down and then after the play unsportsmanlike.
Nishimoto will check in for Million. And yes, that's right on cue. Take it for a quarterback, being able to read the body language of the officials, huh?
We didn't get a lot of things right in high school, but the football field was my best shot at doing something good.
Hey, the baseball diamond as well. You ended up playing over at the next level, right? And a substitution of offensive linemen as well. So a new right tackle coming in.
Let's call it the 50.
So from midfield, the Laney drive continues. A 15-yard penalty will move them all the way back. It'll be at the 49.5-yard line. We'll call it the 50. 2:08 remaining here. Out of the shotgun is Sanders once more from between the hash marks. Another handoff. Nishimoto just runs right into the fingertips of a Vikings defender as the offensive lineman and defensive line start to get chippy with one another.
They've been seeing a lot of each other this game so far. So, you know, O-line and D-line, they start seeing too much of each other. Pleasantries aren't always going to be the thing that's being told to one another.
Yeah, and the sophomores, do not forget about last year's game where it came all the way down, the spot in the playoffs on the line, and a missed field goal for the Vikings sent them to play in a bowl game where the Eagles continued their journey into the playoffs. A handoff goes to Nishimoto once more, and Nishimoto just swarmed down Malik Bewins. Got the sack in the first drive, and he gets the tackle for loss. A loss of 2 on the play will bring Laney right back behind the chains. Man, it's just difficult. You get behind the chains, you're a predominant running offense. You had a good showing last week. Million in that game against San Joaquin Delta, 32 rushes for 211 yards, but the Vikings are just selling out to stop the run, and it's working so far. 57 seconds counting down in this game with zeros across the board still, and a late substitution as the Vikings get in their nickel. Pass attempt here. A route down the far sideline. The intended receiver was Julian Milton, as Adrian Mache just read that ball. And that was the first pass attempt that we've seen go for attempted for more than 15 yards in the air, and that will be an incompletion with 43.8 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Another punt will come by the leg of Nate Glenn, and let's see if the Vikings can stay out of their own way and get off the field. Last time around, Glenn got hit in the plant leg and it was a 15-yard penalty to continue the drive. And this won't be a head-high ball, and a high end-over-end punt bounces down, taking a Vikings bounce down to the 41-yard line. So a net of only about 9 yards on the play, maybe 11 yards on the play, but 2 punts from Nate Glenn, and his best play was the flop, obviously, on that last hit now.
Yeah, DVC's punt coverage definitely had a talking to because nobody was getting near the punter that time.
Yeah, one thing I expected to see more is, if you remember, the Patriots a couple weeks back had that zipper motion where you motion the tight end coming over there to block the punt. I expected to see that drip down to every single level of football, but I think it might be a little harder than what it came off to be on TV.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll see
Belichick
that.
and his special teams, though.
They love it.
Oh, yeah.
Johnson coming out, and a flag comes on the play. There was 6 seconds left on the play clock, so it won't be a delay of game, maybe a late substitution, though. Mikel Ely comes out, and it will be a false start. So a substitution as Brian Pierce Jr. comes to the sideline, and Mikel Ely comes in. But unfortunately for the Vikes, another penalty. That was their 4th on the game, moving them back. And it's going to be 1st down and 15 from the 45-yard line, far hash mark. Pardon me, the 35-yard line, far hash. And now let's see what Sean Davis and Jerry Johnson have in store here as Johnson lines up, trips over the near-hand side. Belt high snap, it's a handoff over to Sean Davis, breaks a tackle in the backfield. And just a nice job being able to get positive yardage on the play. Sean Davis didn't play in the last game against San Francisco City College, so it's good to see him back.
Yetu Fanaru, 88, the tackle.
So this is the position that DVC doesn't really want to be in. 2nd and long, 1st and longs after the penalty. Trying to stay on track and let the quarterback be able to make the short, easy throws, stay on schedule is where they want this offense to be.
And let's see if Johnson's got some magic in his boots on 2nd down and 14. Another handoff as the play clock expires, and Sean Davis continues to fight his way forward, getting a gain of 5 on the play before he's taken down by Sayid Smith, the defensive lineman. And that'll be the end of our first quarter of play. Goose eggs across the board here at Viking Stadium as we've got a hard-fought matchup between the Eagles and the Vikings here at Viking Stadium. Back on the other side of the break here on DVC Vikings Live. Back here, 15 minutes on the clock as we've got a hard-fought defensive game here throughout the first 15 minutes of play. The dulcet tones of John Brown reigning over Viking Stadium as he gives everybody a chuckle here to start the 2nd quarter of play. So the Vikings, after the positive run, it was actually Kenneth Atkins II, the sophomore out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, getting the last 2 carries. Sean Davis still not in the game. And the Vikings coming out in the shotgun spread once more. Between the hash marks, the full-out blitz, Johnson delivers over to the 42-yard line, and that ball went into the hands of Damani Burrell. Burrell with a big pickup about 15 yards on the play, and the Vikings look to have gotten a 1st down. Flag in the backfield. It might have been a roughing the passer call.
Penalty flag.
Let's hear what the official has to say. Yep, it is a personal foul. And that ball will continue to move its way forward. So a very nice pickup to Damani Burnell, but another 15 tacked on top of it. So the Laney Eagles will have to set up their defensive front, spotted down at the 26-yard line now.
Vikes at the 26 of the Eagles.
And that's what DVC is going to have to do tonight because Laney always likes to be really aggressive on defense. They like to play man coverage across. They'll go 0 coverage. They'll go 1 safety high, but it's going to be man on the outside. You know that majority of the time, if not cover 3. So those out routes, those deep corner routes, those are the routes you need to execute if you want to move the ball on this Laney defense.
Cribb comes back into the game. Pierce Jr. across the formation into the flat, and they'll fake the play action fake to him. And that's just a heads-up play from Jerry Johnson. He felt the pressure coming. They tried to set up a wide receiver screen, and Johnson said, no, I'm going to let this ball go into the dirt and live to fight another down. 2nd down and 10 from the 26-yard line.
Yeah, Laney knew what play was coming there. They were bringing the slot cornerback right there, it looked like, on a blitz. He saw the screen developing, changed his route into the flat, and DVC's quarterback did a really good job of seeing that, not throwing the ball into harm's way. And like you said, live to fight another day.
So same formation here as Gavin Cribb is in the backfield. The same exact motion as Pierce Jr. comes in. It's a handoff over the left-hand side over to Cribb. Cribb trying to turn the corner, and 2 Laney Eagles came up to swipe him down. Logan Ketchum leading the charge for the Eagles there. And the Vikings running game had some success early on, but as they fall behind the chains, they try to run the ball again. Cribb was so close to turning the corner, but a very nice job done by this Laney front 7.
Yeah, really good speed by the Laney linebackers right there, able to run down Cribb over at the sideline, not let him turn the corner.
And Brittner lining up at tight end now as it's a 3rd down and 9 from the 26. Play action fake. Pressure comes. Johnson throws it late and just not enough arm on the play. He had an open receiver as Brian Pierce Jr. did a terrific job getting the ball to break right at the line to gain, but it'll be 4th down now, and the offense looks to stay on the field here.
I like it.
I don't know. So on paper, Zane Hall's target field goal range is the 35, so that would be a 52-yard field goal attempt on paper. But in reality, this coaching staff has seen how their offense has been able to drive, seen how their special teams has played this year, and they just don't feel comfortable sending out the freshman out of San Ramon Valley to kick these deep field goals. So instead, the Vikings on 4th down and 9 from the 25-yard line will go for it.
They're just bringing everybody.
Full-out blitz. Johnson staying in the pocket, over the top in double coverage. The ball was just thrown way too far in front of Brian Pierce Jr. And for the second time this evening, the all-out pressure gets there, and Jerry Johnson just throws it away on 4th down.
Yeah, Laney actually did a really good job disguising. It looked like a 0 blitz at the start. They ended up dropping the safety out, having one of the linebackers cover the running back out of the backfield right there. So it was a 0 coverage look turned into single high coverage. Single high coverage, the last thing you want to do is throw it over the middle.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, that's where he ended up going to.
Well, when you don't have time, you gotta have to just rip it.
Exactly. That's where the pre-snap read becomes so important. He probably read 0 coverage as well, thought he had the post on a linebacker or a safety with the slot receiver, but Laney did a really good job of disguising their coverage.
And an empty set for the first time for Sanders tonight. Lined up for the near hash mark. He takes the knee-high snap and throws the screen over to the near-hand side. The ball goes over to Fuller's hands, and Fuller fighting back near the numbers, getting a gain of 9. Anthony Henry laying the lumber at the end of the play. And this is a theme that we've seen a couple different times now. When it comes to about 9.5 yard line, or 9.5 yards gain, it looks like the officials are just letting them have it.
Yeah, Walmart rollover.
A true spread look for Sanders once more. It worked once, try it again. Sanders throwing near side once again, and this goes over to Featherstone as Featherstone breaks 1 tackle, 2 tackles, jump cuts across the middle of the field at the 50, and he's brought down at the 42-yard line. Dylan Leo able to play safety over the top and stop the big play from turning into a tug. But Laney with an explosive play, and this is their best-looking offensive drive of the game here with 12:45 counting down in the second.
I really like when Laney spreads everybody out. I think it gives the quarterback a little more confidence, and it also spreads the field, giving him more room to look at instead of having to go through exact progressions and layers and levels of defenses.
And a timeout taken by Laney here with 8 seconds left on the play clock, as we'll keep it here for the timeout. And let's continue this conversation. So the way that the Vikings have set up their defense up to this point in the game, they're all up in the box. They're playing man across the board, and they're daring Laney to beat them with the arms of Sander. And in the last couple plays, that's exactly what they've done. They said, hey, we're going to keep everybody in protection. We're going to have 2-3 receiver routes, and we're just going to try to throw it over the top and trust that our wide receivers can make plays over your defensive backs. And to be honest, before the last 2 games against, really the gauntlet of the basics, San Mateo and San Francisco City College, the Vikings were a top 10 passing unit, or pass deflecting unit, I should say, pass defense unit. There you go, 3rd time's the charm. But yeah, Laney's just really testing the Vikings now.
Again, when your quarterback's as tall as Laney's is,
6'5".
give him max protect, let him see the defense, and when you spread them out, like I said, you don't have to worry about as much with progression and layers and things like that. You're able to just see a hot route, see where the blitz is, and when you're that tall, you can really see the defense.
Pistol look now for Sanders between the hash marks, and he will pass a 3-step drop and a throw into the flats, and that's caught at the 40-yard line, being pushed out of bounds at the 35-yard line. And number 89 was the man to make the reception, as it was Peyton Harbin, the third-string tight end.
8-yard gain, 2nd and 2.
So a bunch of different tight ends. When you're running 2-3 tight end looks, the third-string tight end will come in here and get some burns. So after a gain of 8 on the play, it'll be 2nd down and 2. 12 minutes counting down here in the second quarter of play. And it's another pistol look for Sanders. Motions the wide receiver and a play fake and a flop from the left tackle. Marco Balistrieri just absolutely sat down on his rear end after he saw the Vikings there, but it will be a false start on Laney, pushing them back over to the 40-yard line. So it'll be 2nd down and 7. Clock continues to run here. 11:47 counting down.
Yeah, DVC's O-line kind of got bailed out right there because the tight end didn't remember what the snap count was.
And a shotgun look for Sanders once more. Motions Milton across the formation. Vikings playing a man-to-man coverage. It's a play-action fake and a throw on a slant route caught by Featherstone, and Featherstone tackled after a gain of 10 on the play. Anthony Munoz was there to make the stop. But another really easy concept. You're just reading the zone defense. You throw it in the slant right over there, and you get a pickup for 10.
And Laney's coaching staff is doing a really good job of making it easy for the quarterback this possession. You put the guy in motion. You're able to definitively say that, you know, the defense is in man coverage because of the DB chasing him across the field. You know you have the slant route on the outside.
And Sanders with another play-action fake. Wide open in the back of the end zone, pardon me, the front of the end zone, and a touchdown brought in by Junyi Tang. Tang, out of Australia, comes all the way across to the northern hemisphere, and he gets a touchdown in the front of the Vikings end zone to break the goose egg and give Laney a 6-0 lead with 10:47 counting down in the second quarter of play.
Yeah, and Laney, they really like their wheel routes, I'm learning.
from their tight ends and fullbacks.
Yup, exactly. Anybody in the slot or coming off the line of scrimmage, you get a wheel route, you get a wheel route.
And Billy Hewitt ready to snap it over to O'Connell, holds it down, kick is up, crosses the T and the PAT, and the first score of the evening goes to the Laney Eagles on their best offensive drive of the game. Drove it all the way downfield and got the tug. So a timeout on the field for just a moment. We'll take it as well here on the DVC Vikings Live. Back on the field after the score, 10:47 remaining here in the second quarter of play. The Vikings have more offensive yards in the game than the Laney Eagles, but the Laney Eagles get their first score of the game, driving about 70 yards down the field to get it going. Kicking it left to right now, Laney coming out, black helmets, white jerseys, black pants with the white trim, and they'll be kicking it off. Vikings doing a little something different on kickoff return coverage now, as they just have the lone return man, Austin Hertz. His heels are lined up at the 5. The kicker, Billy Hewitt. Heels around the 21-yard line, hands are up. Clap is down. Jotting forward, swings the big right leg, and it'll be an end-over-end kick. Not so big as the ball's fielded down on top of the numbers at the 10. Hertz reversing the field. Hertz trying to get the edge, gets a nice block out to the 20-yard line. A jump cut over the 30. And Hertz with a very nice return of 22 yards on the play as Lipsy comes up to make the tackle on special teams for the Laney Eagles. And now with some pretty decent field position, let's see what this Vikings offense can do. They've stalled and stalled out the last couple of plays. They've won for it twice on 4th down inside of the 20-yard line, had turned it over on downs, and now let's see what they've got in store. Play caller offensive line coach and associate head coach Dave Garcia coming up, and he's calling the game for the Bucs for the first time at home this year. So a better vantage point in the box, and let's see if they can get creative here. Tadding off the left side as Johnson comes out in the pistol look, and it'll be a play-action fake. Johnson had nowhere to go. A perfect read screaming off the aids for Nate Glenn. The pressure got brought. The linebacker gets a huge sack on the play, a 10-yard loss, and the Vikings are well behind the chains now, trailing 7-0 here with 10:20 remaining.
And that sack saved a touchdown because they had the post wide open down the middle of the field right there. Quarterback just didn't have time to find anybody open.
I mean, he was hit the moment the play-action fake ended, and you could see Garcia standing up, slanting the table as we got him over to a booth to our left, and he knew that was a home run call.
No, it was a great call. Just the blitz disrupted everything, unfortunately.
Pressure either makes diamonds or it breaks things, and that time it broke the Vikings offense. Low snap handled well by Johnson. Johnson throwing it across the middle, and it was trying to go into the hands of the tight end. I believe that was Josh Peichel, the intended receiver, but that ball was so close to being intercepted. A terrific job from the linebacker coming up. That was Logan Ketchum trying to make the INT on the play. So big boy against big boy. It's a incomplete pass in the Vikings on 3rd down and 22. We'll see what they've got in the playbook. Maybe a screen pass, maybe a draw. I think you just live to fight another drive at this point.
Or you kind of pull one out of Laney's playbook, run a post with a wheel route. Because on that cover 3, you just try to take that outside corner with you on the post. And also the Laney's, the slot.
And a pass for Johnson. Johnson just has to whale this one away off the fingertips of Austin Corrali as he wasn't able to carry that ball in on the near sideline. And the Vikings try to set something up on 4th down, unable to do so. So despite the fact that they had a lot of success on their opening first 2 drives, just not much going here. And this late going, the offensive line hasn't had the protection on Jerry Johnson, and Johnson's just been fighting for his life here. 4th down and 21, 9:43 counting down. The punter's going to have to come out, and the Vikings do love to go for their fake punts, but in this situation, I don't think so.
No, and if you're Johnson right there, 3 pass plays, he couldn't have done anything different on those 3 plays. Took the sack, 2 incompletions, and that's honestly probably a win.
And a low end-over-end punt fielded down at the 40-yard line. Zane Hall doing a terrific job, but a lane right between the middle of the field. And wow, just a game-saving tackle made by Malik Viewins there as the return man sprinted down, got a gain of 10 on the play, and he was brought down right at midfield. Milton, the return man for Laney College. Oh, if he broke free after that Viewins' last-second tackle, he would have gotten another 20 yards on the play.
Or 7. Yeah.
Or 7.
Yeah, that was close.
Ball spotted down in some terrific field position for the Eagles as it's lined up right on the dot of midfield here. The lacrosse marker on the field. DVC, a great lacrosse team as well. They beat Chico State's club team the other day. Yeah. Terrific programs all across the board for the Vikings here. And the Vikings defense has to come up with the stop here, giving up 7 on the last drive. And it'll be a handoff going right this time. This will be Millen. And Millen, nowhere to go. Christian Evans laying the hit down at midfield. No gain on the play.
DVC's D-line has done a really good job tonight, stopping the run, being able to get penetration on the inside, and the edges have really done a really good job setting the edge and keeping contained and making, the ball carrier cut up, and the linebackers are doing a really good job filling their gap assignments.
Back off the left side, and Saunders out of the pistol this time. Gets the belt high snap. A handoff once more. Millen trying to bounce back inside, and man, what a physical play after the first initial contact. It's that Yak, man. He was essentially hit at the 45-yard line and just lowers his head and bull rushes his way forward, making it 3rd down and 1.
I like Millen because when there's no hole, he just kind of makes his own hole. Just runs right through everybody at full speed, and he says, try to stop me, essentially, and able to break a couple tackles and get a 3rd and short.
He's always falling forward. That's what we see in this early trend so far. Up back off the left-hand side. It's a fullback, rather, with the tight end on the left as well. Another handoff, and Millen, some space. showing the finesse this time as he jumps his way forward past the 35-yard line, tackled down at the 32. Tyler Davis making the play, but that will be a first down. So he showed the power, now he shows the finesse, and Laney College is starting to look like vintage Laney College here as they are running the ball, playing physically, and just trying to say, hey, we're here, stop us.
Yeah, and to their credit, they're doing a really good job at the line of scrimmage, but also DVC's defense, you can tell they're starting to get tired. They've been out there a long time in this first half.
And that's what happens when you run the ball so much. Play action fake over the top, beats the defender, but a flag comes in at the end of the play, and that is a pass interference on Anthony Henry. And to be honest, not a bad play by Henry there. Samaje Featherstone had him beat at the top of the route, just had to corral him in, live for a 15-yard loss instead of 6 more on the board.
Featherstone's had a really nice day today. He hasn't really been able to get stopped on really any route. He's been getting slants, breaking those off, getting yak off after those slants, and right there he was running the deep post. Had his guy beat to the point where all he could do was hold him and live to fight another day.
Featherstone coming into this game with interest from Eastern Washington and UNLV. 26 catches, 314 yards for the leading receiver for the Eagles, and he's had quite a few yards to add to that pile tonight. Another handoff, and Millen just continues to run physically as he gets into the red zone for Laney College. Jaden Price comes up to tackle him down, and it'll be 2nd down and 6 from the 18 now. And I believe this is the first time we've seen the Eagles inside of the red zone. They scored from outside of the red zone last time on a wheel route to their backup tight end. Fullback off the left side, Saunders out of the pistol once more. Vikings stacking the box. Another handoff. This one goes over to Nishimoto as Nishimoto takes right out of the page of Millen. And he fights hard down to the 10-yard line. And like you said, Kyle, they're just getting tired. You can see the front when you're playing a physical brand of ball. You're saying, hey, you might stop us at first, but we're going to keep running. We're going to stay attuned, and that's exactly what they're doing. Nishimoto breaks free out to the 5, turns the corner, touchdown! Isaac Nishimoto scrapes down the left side, abuses that short side of the field, and breaks free for the 2nd touchdown. 2 consecutive drives for 2 touchdowns for Laney College, and they are up 13-0 over the Vikings here.
Yeah, and Laney does a great job right there, keeping the tempo up. Got a fresh back in there, and you could just tell that his feet were fresher than everybody else's right there, able to break it to the outside and beat everybody comfortably to the corner.
And they've done it both ways tonight. They've run you over, and they've also spread it out and passed the ball, so adjustments coming here for the Vikings at half. Hewitt kicks the ball up, splits the upright, crosses the T on the PAT, and we've got a 14-0 game here. It was goose eggs across the first quarter, but Laney has come out strong in the second, and they put up 2 scores on 2 consecutive drives here on DVC Vikings Live. 14-0 here as the fans in the stands are starting to get a little chippy here. You can hear them saying, lay somebody out on special teams. I don't know if that's a Laney call or a Vikings call here, but Austin Hertz to be the deep return man for the Vikings once more. Hertz with a nice 20-yard return last time out. And let's see if Hewitt can put it all the way into the back of the end zone this time around. Hewitt kicking it left to right for the for the 3rd time this quarter. This one got some more leg underneath it, and it'll be fielded at the 2-yard line. Hertz sprinting down the far side. Hertz hurdling over a defender. Hertz brings it all the way down to the 29 as a flag comes in late.
There's a penalty flag.
Hurts with the hurdle, and another nice return for the sophomore return man.
Ian Tarantina for the stop.
Trentina makes the stop for Laney, and Cal, what do you think the call is?
I think it's going to be holding on DVC.
Yeah, I think that hold that brought the defender down to the ground that allowed for the Hurts hurdle, that'll be
Yeah, typically
the pain there.
Typically tackling and then going for a pin mid-play doesn't normally ends up in a penalty.
Yeah.
Refs don't miss those too often.
Football, not wrestling. And the ball is now spotted at the 15-yard line, a 10-yard penalty from the spot in the play. So the Vikings, deep inside of their own territory, need to get something going here. Johnson alongside Cribb, and a handoff goes over to Gavin Cribb, and Cribb this time around had some space early in the game, but Cribb only able to get back to the line of scrimmage. Just a very nice job by that front seven of Laney clogging those gaps.
Yeah, Laney's defense in their front seven is playing really well. And that's because, in part as well, their cornerbacks are playing really well. And when you're able to play man coverage and just play single high and bring blitzers every single play, filling up those gaps, able to stop the run at the line of scrimmage becomes a little bit easier. It's never easy, but you're able to get more people up by the line of scrimmage. It gives more people the ability to make a tackle.
And Johnson out of the shotgun once more. Trips over to the near hand side from the far hash mark. Johnson's going to throw the wheel route off the fingertips of Mikel Ely. Ely just reached his right hand out of there, and the coverage was very tight from Jaden Lawton. Jaden Lawton coming in this game with the San Jose State offer, so one of those guys that we will see go D1, as well as Mikel Ely. Ely just having a tremendous season last year, came up short. Offensive Player of the Year runner-up, but this year just has not been his year. 381 yards on 31 catches compared to last year where he had close to 1,000. With 2 games left in the season, Ely's going to try to bolster those numbers, and the Vikings will need Ely on this big third down. And Johnson, it looked like they were trying to set up a screen pass over to Brian Pierce Jr., but then Johnson came out and threw the ball over to Austin Hurts.
Yeah, that was a mix-up somewhere because the slot receiver ran a bubble screen, and the outside receiver looked like he was going to block for it, then came out for a slant late, and nobody knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, there was a communication error somewhere along the lines. And the Vikings, for the third time now, will have to punt it away deep inside of their own zone. Some early success in the first quarter. The Vikings 0 for 2 on fourth down as they had to go for it on fourth down and long inside of the 25. And now Hall punting away once more. A nice punt by Hall, forcing the deep man to retreat all the way inside of the 40-yard line, and it takes another DVC Vikings bounce before it's fielded down at the 36-yard line. And that was Dougie Silva to pick up the ball at the end of the play. But a terrific job, a 50-plus yard punt for Zane Hall here, and the Vikings have got a fighting chance. The defense, let's see how much rest they were able to get on the near side. We talked about how tired this defense was getting. And unfortunately, another 3-and-out for the Vikings will send them out onto the field very early.
Yeah, that was a great boot right there by the punter, able to really switch the field position. But like you said, another 3-and-out, quick possession. That defensive line that was starting to break down, get tired at the end of the last possession. Laney's offense was able to take advantage and just run the ball down the middle off that right side a lot. Has to come back out after not a lot of rest and try to keep this game within striking distance at half.
Marcus Saunders doing a terrific job so far tonight. Up back off the right-hand side from the far hash mark. It's a 2 tight end look. Fakes the handoff. And Sanders just swarmed in the backfield. A ton of pressure came off the left side of the line for the Vikings, and the pressure was made by Derek Reither, the freshman from Concord. Makes the sack from just about down the road here at Viking Stadium. And that's what the doctor called for the Vikings, getting Laney behind the line of scrimmage, getting them behind their standard protocol on offense, and forcing them to make some plays and make some decisions that they don't typically do well.
DVC needs a corner on the far end, and quick.
2nd down and 14. Traditional snap, and it's thrown over to Featherstone, and Featherstone doing a terrific job getting back to the 40-yard line on a gain of 10 on the play. Nico Bowler alongside Jaden Price laying the hit on the play, and it'll be 3rd down and 6. So good job from Saunders, really just taking his check down route over to Featherstone and being able to set up a 3rd down and manageable. Do you see who's calling the plays over on the far side? I think it's Robert Crowley.
It is.
The quarterback's coach on paper, but he's making the calls tonight to his freshman quarterback out of James Logan High. Bunch to the near-hand side. From the near hash mark, it's a low snap once again, and the play is dead. I believe this will be a false start.
Coach Crowley looks comfortable over there. Some may say he has some BDE calling the plays.
If you've seen
If you know, you know.
Last Chance U way back in the day, Crowley in the first episode was one of those guys talking about you need to have that energy.
It's important.
Oh, man, I still remember all across the circuit everybody was talking about how, oh, this is best chance U across the board. We got last chance U over at Laney, and now it's best chance. Ah, man, I'm glad we finally got that away here. Good for Laney, don't get me wrong. Very much congratulations to them and all the success they've seen from that Netflix series. But, man, there's a lot going on during that time. Milan scraping down the left side and gets a pickup past the 50 after a gain of 6. Anthony Munoz was there to make the stop, and Laney continuing to fight for it. So the penalty was actually not on a false start. It was on an offside on the Vikings. So that set up a 3rd down and 1. And now, from the 49-yard line, it looks like Laney's right back on track. Between the hash marks at Sanders. Looking towards Crowley once more. It's a 21 personnel look here. Only wide receivers Featherstone. And the slow developing handoff, a cut back inside. And at the end of the play, just some more hard running inside. Bumbling, tumbling, stumbling, Milan gets forward for a gain of 6.
2nd and 4.
2:56 counting down in this 14-0 game here. Laney scoring all of the points here in the second quarter of play. Saunders out of the pistol, and it's another stretch to the forehand side. The Vikings were there, but once again, just a hard-fought run. Another gain of 5 by Milan as he's taken down by Jordan Davis. But once again, it's Yak, man. Yak all night long. He's getting hit in the backfield. He's getting hit at the line of scrimmage, but he's just using his low center of gravity at 5'10", 200 to just churn his way forward. But this time around, he got a little bit of help from his offensive line in terms of a holding call, and that will send Laney back. So it looks like Milan will check out. Nishimoto coming back in, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, it looks like Milan will stay in. It was actually Julian Milton coming into the game, substituting at wide receiver. So a 2 wide receiver, or pardon me, a spread pistol look now for the Eagles. After the holding call, will be 2nd down and 14. Motions Milan into the flat, and Saunders trying to come back. And Cameron Moore batted the ball away. It went straight into the hands of Featherstone now as Featherstone caught it off the tip. And after getting the ball at the 50-yard line, or pardon me, at the 48, he'll work his way forward to the 50. So at midfield, it'll be 3rd down and 11. A terrific job just getting his hands up. All 6'7" of Cameron Moore to swat that ball down, but a fortuitous bounce by Laney.
And this is a big play for DVC's defense right here. Get off the field. Keep it a 2-possession game before halftime.
And look at this look. Vikings in the nickel with 2 high safeties here, really just respecting the passing game of Saunders here. 7-step drop, a screen pass dropped over to Milan, and nowhere to go. Terrific discipline across the board as Nico Bowler read that play to a T, and it looks like the Vikings will take a timeout here with 1:39 remaining in the second quarter of play and try to get one more good possession in. A timeout on the field, and a timeout we'll take as well here on DVC Vikings Live. The punter coming out once more. That's Nate Glenn, the deep return man, Brian Peters Jr.'s. And for all my Raiders fans listening, so glad we got rid of McDaniels. Heels of the punter spotted down at the 31-yard line. It's a belt-high snap, and ooh, just another close call punt. This one almost fair caught as it bounces down and gets a Laney bounce all the way inside of the 1-yard line. And look at that, special teams going over the Laney Eagles once more. I guess he got all his bad punts out of the way as Nate Glenn had 2 punts that went about 11 yards, and now we're seeing I heard some jeers from the crowd, and we've got some Laney fans sitting on the home side now. I thought maybe they were seeing it went all the way in, but instead just a terrific job by the punter. Just about a 49-yard punt as that ball spotted down at the 1-yard line, and the running game needs to come in and help a little bit here. I know you've only got 1 timeout. I know you've got 1:30 remaining, but I think you've got to give it over to Cribb and try to get a little bit of breathing room. With the field collapsing in this situation, with the way that you've been able, or I should say been unable to protect Jerry Johnson, I just feel like you got to get him a little bit of room to breathe. And it looks like Kenneth Atkins will come back into the game and be the running back on this drive. Belt high snap. It's a handoff over to Atkins. Atkins with a lot of showmanship as he really fakes and jukes hard with his upper body. The hips did not lie, though, as he goes forward for a gain of 2. And let's see if the Vikings will burn that timeout or just hurry up to the line. Oh, burn. Oh, wow. Laney with 3 in their pocket. Or, pardon me, it was 2 in their pocket, and they take it. So we'll keep it here as we've got 1:22 remaining here in the second quarter of play. And this half that's been dominated by the Eagles. The Eagles have had 2 very successful drives of 70, of 80-plus yards going all the way down to score it on the Vikings defense. The Vikings defense last time around got some really good pressure off the edge. They got a sack by Ryther, and then they got another nice play by Moore being able to bat the ball in the air, and Nico Bowler reading it perfectly to stop the screen pass on 3rd down and long. And now let's see if the offense can do what they've done pretty well this far this year. They've executed perfectly about 2 or 3 times on the 2-minute drill this year. So maybe that's the difference that you need to find in the second half of play, or even going forward in this last 122, is maybe just have a little bit more rhythm for Johnson and let the game flow to him a little easier.
Yeah, you obviously at the end of every possession you want it to end in points. The important thing on this one is at least getting the 1 first down, because if they don't get a first down, barring no incompletions with it, Laney's able to stop the clock 1 more time, and if they do, Laney will get the ball back. Ooh, there we go. First down. Never mind.
It's a first down.
Doesn't matter anymore.
I didn't quite see what the play was. I was looking down at at Kyle, but it was Brian Pierce Jr. making the reception, I'm assuming, as the wide receiver.
Slant right there.
There you go. A nice slant from the slot, and the Vikings hurry up to the line now. A belt-high snap over to Johnson, and Johnson throws it over to Ely. And Ely's first opportunity to make a catch tonight, as the rest of the balls were right in front of him. He fumbles, or I shouldn't say fumble, he bobbles the ball and drops it as it's an incomplete pass now with 1 minute remaining here. And it's going to be 2nd down and 10. And you can hear number 60 called out by the booth over here, as we're going to see what that means.
It'll be an interesting call right here, whether they go pass or run and go into halftime, or if they're going to still try to put up points here.
Shotgun for Johnson, and Johnson rips it off the fingertips, and it's behind one of the defenders. Man, it was just a zone coverage called, and it looked like Jaden Lawton was the closest defensive back to make the play after the tip from Logan Ketchum. And it's 3rd down and 10 now, and with 56.5 seconds, and just seeing what what this quarterback on the other side of the ball, the freshman Marcus Sanders, has been able to do so far this game. Maybe you see them run it and force the last time out. I don't know, it's a really hard situation to be in. You need to get the first down to give yourself a little bit of breathing room and stop from, I believe that might have been 3 consecutive 3-and-outs on the play, but now you're in a hard position. Pressure comes. Johnson able to throw, delivers that to the 19-yard line, running out to the 21-yard line, and that might be a first down for Deshaun Smith II. And yes, they will say so. Deshaun Smith II on 3rd down and 10 gets all 10 of it to move the chains. 52.1 seconds remaining here, and a first down for the Vikings as the play clock stops. Jackson was able to get out of bounds. 14-0 our score here. Vikings getting two first downs here on 3rd down and long. And let's see if Jerry Johnson can compose something late here as the Vikings still have 1 timeout left in the pocket. Johnson with the head-high snap, stepping up in the pocket. Johnson just swarmed right at the line of scrimmage. She'll call it a run for 1 on the play as Sayed Smith makes the tackle for Laney. And the clock will still run inside of 40 seconds now. Vikings hurrying up on a 2nd down and 9. Trip to the near hand side. Johnson's out of the shotgun once more, and a false start on the left tackle. That's number 71, Mason Neubauer, the freshman out of Chico High School. And that'll be a 5-yard penalty. And if I'm not mistaken, that might be a runoff on the clock as well.
Clock was running, so it should be a 10-second.
Let's see if the official calls it and our booth sets the big board up. Right now we have 30.4 seconds remaining in the 2nd quarter. And that, like you said, should be a 10-second runoff. We'll see.
False start, 71 offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down. That penalty has a 10-second
Yes,
runoff.
exactly. So officials get it right this time, a 10-second runoff. And the ball should be spotted down at 2nd down and 14 from the 22 with about 21.1 seconds remaining.
21 seconds remaining. We're looking at 2nd down.
Another trips look here as Kenneth Atkins the second is the running back alongside Johnson once more. Jerry Johnson touches his chin strap as he makes the call. Johnson throws another flat pass over to Brian Pierce Jr. And Pierce Jr. doing the most out to the 25. Brian Pierce Jr. tackled in bounds. 12 seconds remaining. The Vikings take a timeout here as Josiah Shannon, the defensive back, lays the hit at the end of the play. So a nice little play. I mean, the Vikings have been doing that a lot tonight. They've just been throwing it out into the flats, trying to get their wide receivers, the best athletes in space. And this time around, Brian Pierce Jr. was able to do a good job breaking free for an additional about 10 yards, maybe 8 yards on the play, but unfortunately wasn't able to get out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised about the timeout call with 11 seconds to go. You're on your own 26-yard line. I would think maybe just go into half, talk about everything, because not a lot of good can come in with 11 seconds with this much field to go. Laney on that last play was playing a prevent defense. They had 4 safeties, probably about 20, 25 yards deep. It's going to be hard to throw it over the top.
I mean, what I really expect to see is maybe a draw, maybe a screenplay. Just try to get some athletes in space or maybe free up some space in the middle of the field and see if you can maybe break one free. You got the timeouts, you might as well use it, right? I guess that's both sides of the coin.
For sure.
So it's a 3rd down and 5 here with 11.2 seconds remaining. Laney scoring on 2 drives here in the 2nd quarter of play after a very physical 1st quarter, and the Vikings coming out tight. 2 receivers set to the near hand side. 2 receivers split out right on the far hand side from the near hash mark. Johnson out of the shotgun once more. Johnson some time to throw. Johnson rips it free over the top, and it's brought in at the 48-yard line. That was Brian Pierce Jr. The clock will stop as they spot the ball here, and the Vikings might be able to get one more playoff in time. 4.3 seconds remaining. Vikings hurry it up to the line. They're going to try to spike it here. Able to spike it with 2.3 seconds remaining. 2nd down and 10 now. And, well, we talked about this before. Maybe Hail Mary time for Jerry Johnson. Johnson wanted to showcase that his arm has gotten better after an injury a couple years back. And he's going to have to put a lot of air under it if they decide to go Hail Mary. But you could also possibly see another screen or another draw play here. Honestly, I'm not sure. With the way that the offensive line has been playing, even if you do send 3, it's still a very hard situation to be in. But with 2.2 seconds, we've got one more play in store, barring no offensive penalties, of course.
Steve, I got to change that because the technically never point any seconds left.
So the Vikings come out in a spread look. They'll keep a running back in the backfield. That will be Kenneth Atkins II. It'll be a quick pass. That's over to Burrell as Damani Burrell, fighting towards the far side, is just wrangled down after a gain of 7 on the play. The Vikings went safe with it. Burrell just gets an additional 7 yards on top of his on top of his stat sheet tonight. And that ends our first half. 20 minutes on the board for the halftime break, and we've got a 14-0 game as the Laney Eagles lead the DVC Vikings 14-0 at halftime, driving about 70 yards and 80 yards down the field. I mean, the Eagles have really looked great tonight. They've done it through the air on one drive on their first score, and they did it on the ground the second time.
Yeah, Laney's offense has looked really good, and their defense has looked even better, allowing no points. They've played really good defense against the pass, and their run defense has been stout the entire game. So DVC is going to have to make some adjustments here in halftime to come out in the second half and try to put some points up on the board and, come back from a 2-possession deficit.
Yeah, it's only a 2-possession deficit, and realistically, if you think about it, the Vikings have gotten inside of the red zone. They've gone right outside of the red zone. They've had opportunities to be in scoring position, but decided to go for it on fourth down. Maybe you ask the kicker, hey, how comfortable are you feeling tonight? Maybe try to get a few possessions taken with the field goal because, I mean, I'll tell you what, a 14-6 game is looking a lot different than a 14-0 game. It's an eight-point game at that point instead of this 14-point game, so let's see what decisions they have in store. Dave Garcia up in the booth calling plays tonight. And, yeah, a lot of adjustments to be made in the second half. And we've got a fresh 30 minutes coming up on the other side of the play here on DVC Vikings Live. 14-0. We'll be back in about 19 minutes. Back here for second half action. 44 seconds remaining here at the halftime break. And the Vikings receive the ball to start the game, so they will be kicking it off. And fortunately, if you're a Vikings fan, you at least had 20 minutes of rest for your defense that's been out on the field nearly the entire game to at least try to put together something and get a 3 and out and look to see if you can start the game how powerfully you did in that first quarter.
Yeah, it's going to be important for DVC's defense to get out to a hot start like they did at the beginning of the game, stopping the run. They did a really good job with that. Played good defense against the pass. It's going to be interesting to see what Laney does on offense here to start the second half, whether they try to keep spreading everybody out or if they're going to go back to the run.
I think you get a little mix of both. In reality, what's going to work for you, it's going to be having it go through the air and having it go on the ground because, I mean, dynamic teams are the teams that win. That's just a matter of fact.
Yeah, and Laney in the first half had the best athlete out on the field out at wide receiver.
Yeah, Featherstone.
Yeah.
And the kick will be returned down to the 10-yard line, breaking free out to the 25-yard line, some space along the far sideline, a convoy out to the 40, and finally tripped down at the 50-yard line. A 45-yard return as he's tackled down by Zach Sandoval, the reserve running back. And who? Guess who? Number 15, that's Featherstone on special teams, getting a huge rip, and Laney College is right back where they stopped at the 50-yard line, ready to get things rocking.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about the X's and O's. It's about the Billies and Joes. And right now, Featherstone is the best one out there at the moment. He's making plays everywhere on the field.
And you can see why he has those big-time school interests. And a game like this is what's going to put you over the top. You haven't had much success because your offensive line hasn't been able to protect your backup quarterback. But when you're really just doing well like that, man, I mean, the offers will start to come in. So it looks like a late substitution comes in as Cameron Moore checks back in. A play-action fake over to Sanders, and Sanders throws it out to the 30, and that's caught by number 15. Samaje Featherstone rips a 25-yard pass over the top of Marcel Anderson to get this game started down to the 29-yard line, and Laney's carrying all the momentum here in the second half, 14:31 remaining. A 21-yard play.
I think they just keep throwing it to him until somebody proves they can stop him.
Snap and a miscalculated handoff as it's a reverse over to Milan, and Milan gets back to the line of scrimmage. A bunch of Vikings were there, and it just looked like a miscommunication between Saunders and Milan. He turned around, the running back was in the wrong position, and they decided to go a behind-the-back handoff. Just, hey, go ahead with it.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Boo-boo. So after the gain of 0 on the play down to the 29-yard line, it'll be a heavy set. 2 tight ends over the right-hand side. Lone receiver is Featherstone on the near side. It'll be a stretch out to the far side over to Milan. Milan, plenty of space along the far side. A jump cut to the 20, and a tackle was made by Anthony Henry at the end of the play. The safety came up as the last line of defense, but it wasn't until 11-yard gain on the play. Simeon Milan just doing a terrific job carrying on with his 32 rushing 211-yard situation last week. And so now some more trickery as the heavy set flips to the right-hand side from the 4 hash mark. It'll be a handoff once more. Space along the left side. Milan just doing a terrific job. He got smothered up by 5 different Vikings defenders at about the 14-yard line, but just showed some patience. Almost looked like a little bit of a rugby play as he just patiently followed behind his scrum. Gain of 9 on the play as Cameron Moore gets up late on the play.
Yeah, Milan's been doing what all great running backs do. Make the first guy miss. If you're able to make the first guy miss the entire night, you're always going to have a good night. And that's exactly what he's been able to do the entire game, picking up consistently 3-4 yards, breaking off good 8 to 10-yard gains.
2-back pistol for Sanders. Sanders with another handoff. Made the first guy miss once more, and that results in a first down. A gain of 2 on the play, and a first down picked up as Nathan Kinsley came behind the play, or behind the line of scrimmage from his defensive line spot to make the tackle. But just like that, it's a 14-0 game as Laney has scored the last 2 possessions, or pardon me, they scored 2 possessions in the second half, and they are threatening from the 8-yard line, 1st and goal here to start off in their opening drive of the 3rd quarter. Shotgun for Saunders once more. A jump ball to the forehand side. A terrific job covering over the top by Marcel Anderson. Just followed Featherstone step by step, did not panic, punched that ball out late, and it'll be second down and goal from the 8.
That was just good football all around. That was a good throw, good route, good defense. And fortunately for DVC, the defender was just able to be there and make a good play on the football.
Another heavy set in the two-back pistol from the far hash mark once more. 2nd and 8 from the far hash mark. A stretch to the right-hand side. Milan, a jump cut, springs his way forward down to the 2. Jordan Davis tackling him down there, and it looks like Milan might actually be injured at the end of the play. It'll be 3rd down and 2 at the end of the play as Rick Becker, one of my favorite people on this planet, comes out to take care of his running back here as he's able to get up under his own power at the end of the play. Isaac Nishimoto is the backup. He's had 76 rushes coming in this game with 2 touchdowns, and Nishimoto has had some great runs tonight. He actually got the 2nd touchdown of the game on a stretch over the left side, and I think we will still get an injury timeout despite the fact that Milan was able to get up under his own power. So a timeout on the field and a timeout up here as well. 11:41 counting down. Laney fighting forward, and we'll take a quick timeout back on the other side. And back on the other side, just like that. Just a little bit of time for a water break, and now we'll see another two-back look for Sanders once more. Nishimoto is in the backfield behind Sanders in that pistol, and a handoff right away. Left side, smothered down. Just a huge tackle made in the backfield by Isaiah Nobrigger, triggering perfectly, but a flag comes in as well. Holding on the offense, and that will back him up 10 yards, but it is 4th down and 3 in this position. So do you take the penalty, bounce back 10 yards, or do you let them essentially go for it or kick a field goal here?
I think that's what they're about to talk about right now.
So the defense is staying out on the field, but the flag is still down. They haven't picked it up yet. Now let's see what substitutions we see. It is declined, so yeah. So a decline on the holding. The ball will be spotted down. It'll be 4th down and goal from the 4-yard line, and the kicking unit will come out for the first time today. Billy Hewitt, the freshman out of United Kingdom, the 6'3" freshman, will come and see if he can knock down his first field goal attempt of the evening. It'll be a 22-yard field goal attempt from this spot. He's 4 for 4 on the year. Snap is down. Hold is down, kick is up, splits the uprights. Just like that, Laney taking a 17-0 lead here with about 4 minutes elapsed here in the 3rd quarter of play. A timeout, and back on the other side, let's see what the DVC offense can do on DVC Vikings Live. (17-0) our score here as the Laney Eagles on their first offensive drive of the second half storm down the field. The Vikings able to get a stop inside of the 5-yard line, and they hold them to 3. So a 3-possession game on the field, and let's see what this Vikings offense has in store here. Hasn't found a lot of success in the latter part, but in that opening quarter, they did drive all the way down the field, got sputtered out around the 25 and the 20-yard line. So let's see if they can kick it into gear and really get that engine revving.
Yeah, they're going to need to do something quickly here before this game gets out of hand. Their defense is doing a really good job keeping them in it the entire night, but at some point this offense is going to, like you said, kick it into gear and start putting points up on the board.
Billy Hewitt to boot it left to right. Austin Hertz, after a low line drive kick, will eventually find its way near the sideline and eventually out of bounds. Austin Hertz just really showing a lot of patience, letting that one dribble out of bounds, and the Vikings will get it from the 30.
35?
35? Yeah.
40? 45?
Is it the
50?
40? I think it might be the 40. I don't know. My brain just sputtered out there. I was talking about
55,
kicking it into
45?
gear, and somehow I overrevved my engine, and now I'm just dead in the waters. I think it is the 30. My first call was right. Come on, Kyle. I got you here to put in some more fuel when I need it. Oh. Is it? No, it is the 40. They set up at the 30, and they juked me out of my shoes.
I think it's the 35.
35. The 35 is.
Yep, 35.
35. X marks the spot. There you
Yep.
go. So the Vikings offense comes out for the first time in the second half, and they will line up with the tight end sit. Jerry Johnson out of the pistol, Cribb in the backfield from the far hash mark. They motion the tight end to the right side. Handoff. And it's a power play over. It's a tight end power over to Gavin Cribb, and Gavin Cribb just didn't have much space to go. A flag? Is there a flag comes in? No, I believe it was a player throwing something on the field as Jackson Kink makes the tackle. And that's just something interesting that we've been seeing. Instead of pulling the guards, you're sending the tight end in motion. That's Bradley Bittner, and he's trying to serve as the lead blocker instead of maybe pulling a guard and flowing with it. So instead of going power, maybe you got to send some more blockers. Maybe go that old school Green Bay schoolhouse left, send everybody there and just try to make a convoy for Cribb.
Yeah, that's kind of what the Niners do, and use it as like a crackback block instead. A legal one these days.
And a play action fake, a throw out over to the tight end, and Bittner just off his fingertips. He felt the pressure of the defensive back trailing right behind him, and it was actually Eric Moody, the rush linebacker, and he was all over that play. If Bittner was able to make the catch on the play, he would have probably brought it forward past the 40-yard line and maybe even set up a third down and manageable, but instead, another drop ball. Man, Jerry Johnson's just struggled tonight with his ball placement.
Yeah, that was a good pass. Moody just did a really good job getting a couple fingertips on at the last second while it was already in the tight end's hands, it looked like, and able to pop it out. And 3rd and 10 now for DVC.
3rd and long. It's going to be a bunch out to the far-hand side. Lone receiver is Mikel Ely, as Ely's the lone receiver there. Pressured, and he's hit late. And possibly a pass interference in the middle of the field. I don't see any dirty laundry, though. Oh. Brian Pierce Jr., the intended receiver on the play. And no, it will be called a clean play by this official crew. So the Vikings will have to punt it away at the 35-yard line. So another 3 and out to start this second half for the Vikings. And the defense at this point, it feels like they might have to gamble, maybe get a pick or something. You got to do something different. The pressure's been getting there tonight, but at this point, when your offense is really unable to get much going, you might have to start rolling the dice a little bit more. Zane Hall to punt it away. The high swirling kick takes a bounce down, dribbling down the sideline. It took an initial bounce at the 35, and it looks like the ball got an additional 5 yards on the bounce out to the 30. So flip of the sides of the field, and now we'll see what Laney has in store after getting 3 points on their opening drive. A battle for 3rd place here in the Base 6 Conference, the toughest conference in all of 3C2A football. We've got the Eagles and the Vikings fighting for it here. 17-0 with 10:19 remaining in the 3rd quarter of play. Cameron Moore substitutes off the field. In comes Rorik Hoban, got a sack earlier in this game. Heavy set to the left. They'll motion the fullback over the right-hand side as Sanders comes out in the pistol look once more. Play action fake, throws it out to the fullback, caught at the 30-yard line, out to the 40-yard line, and he's upended, stayed on his feet for another couple of yards after the tackle, and a 12-yard catch made on the play.
First down pickup.
Marcel Anderson made the tackle, and I believe that was 42 Caldwell in the reception here.
I like what Laney's offense has been doing to start the second half, too. Uh-oh, nope.
Late substitution here. Too many people on the field. I don't see a flag, though, as it's a sweep to the near-hand side. The flag comes in very late as Nishimoto tried to stretch to the near-hand side. A very nice tackle made by Isaiah Nobriga and Anthony Munoz, pardon me. But it looks like the Vikings just with a late substitution. Yeah, that took a while. Yeah. The field judge was standing there, and it's actually a hold on Laney. Wow. So what seemed like a pretty obvious call from up here on the booth turned into a holding penalty on Laney. So the Vikings are in a very advantageous position here as it's a 10-yard penalty moving Laney all the way back to the 32.
Yeah, that wasn't even close, to be honest. I don't even know if that extra defender was past the big numbers.
Oh, my goodness.
DVC will take the holding call, 1st and 20 for Laney.
Man-to-man coverage across the board. It's a 3-man front. And the dime look for the Vikings here. A passing down, and Featherstone just got decimated the moment he touched that ball. Adrian Marche triggering perfectly as Featherstone was lit up after a gain of 3.
That was a really good play right there. He saw it the entire way.
Yeah, we were talking about Marche the last game against Chabot College, where on one of the interceptions, he was essentially calling the play. He said, hey, come down and block this. I'm going to come up and make the play. And just another similar type of situation for Marche on the play. Nishimoto is in the backfield once more. Milan had some help getting off the field last time out. And the motion, Ishimoto into the flats, and another flag and a false start will go against Laney. So for the Vikings, even if their defense is out on the field a little bit longer, a lot of flags pushing them back, gets you a little bit of time to rest. Maybe the rush can take a little bit longer to get there, save a little bit of energy. I mean, these are positive things for the Vikings here as it's turned into a 2nd down in eternity, a 2nd down and 22 from the 30 as we count down from 8:35. 3-man front for the Vikings, man-to-man coverage across the board with 2 safeties over the top as a pistol look for Sanders once more. Sanders taking a 3-step drop, a fake, and that's going to be a draw play to Nishimoto as Nishimoto drops himself down at the 31-yard line. And I believe that was Jordan Davis coming up to make a tackle alongside Isaiah Nobriga once more. So 3rd down and long. And honestly, not a bad play call. You don't really have too many in the book for 3rd down, 2nd down, and 22. A draw play was the right call in my opinion there.
Yeah, not too many plays in the playbook for 3rd and 21 either. So I would be shocked if we saw another draw or screen or something safe here for Laney.
Nickel defense with man across the board once more for the Vikings here. Sanders out of the pistol spread, takes the knee-high snap, throws it near side over to Featherstone, and Featherstone just padding his stats a little bit as he gets a 5-yard gain on the play, brought down out of bounds. We'll call the tackle on Adrian Marche as he pushed him out of bounds there. But the Vikings able to get a stop on the 2nd drive here and this 2nd half of play. And the punt unit who's been up and down, let's see what Nate Glenn has in store. We've seen a 50-plus yard punt for Nate Glenn. We've also seen 2 punts that are less than 20 yards.
And if you're DVC, they need a spark right now.
Send that pressure?
I think you send it, and if you get a flag, you get a flag. But you need a jump start.
And the Vikings are in their punt block formation. Pierce Jr. is the man downfield, and the Vikings get close, but it's a high winding punt fielded down at the 31-yard line. So just about a 45-yard punt on the play as the ball spotted down at the 31-yard line, and with under 7 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter, the Vikings offense takes the field once more. And like I said, maybe you start getting a little tricky. Maybe you start showing a little eye candy and forcing the hand. One thing we've seen the Vikings have success in this year that we haven't seen in this game is 2-back sets, sending 2 running backs in the backfield. Maybe we see Atkins and Gavin Cribb at some point, but this 1-back set stuff just has not really worked out so far tonight. 4-man front for the Laney Eagles and a shotgun spread here. A throw to the near hand side, and man, you can feel the frustration all the way up in the booth. Jerry Johnson just does not like what he's seeing. Pressure is getting to him right away, isn't able to get a clean throw off in the pocket despite the fact that they're only rushing 3 or 4. And Johnson just really showing his frustration.
Yeah, everything just seems a little bit off. Johnson was a little late on the throw. Wide receiver might have been a little late out of his break too. Wide throw.
And let's see what the Vikings have in store on 2nd down and 10. Shotgun trips once more. The pressure comes, the delivery over to Mikkel Ely, and that's the person you really want to get involved. A 9-yard reception on the play, making a 3rd down and 1. But Mikkel Ely is your best receiver. He's arguably the best receiver in the Bay 6 conference. You've got to get him involved.
3rd and
And Laney's been playing this off coverage to start the second half too with the 17-point lead, so those quick outs are going to be there.
And Johnson with the keeper struggles to get past and fumbles the ball at the end of the play. The ground can't cause a fumble here, so he's dropped for a loss of 1 on the play. On the RPO, it was a quarterback keeper, and it's 4th down and 2 from the 40. And just the way that the game has been going, I think you got to keep the offense on the field, and that's exactly what they'll do. One thing I want to see the Vikings actually do is they had a lot of they actually setting the punt unit out as the offense is waving them out, so a lot of miscommunication on the field here. 18 seconds left on the play clock, and the offense will come out. But one thing I want to see the Vikings actually do a little bit better, throw in some of those 2-back looks, but also roll Johnson out when he's had opportunities in a play-action fake, booting out a naked bootleg. He's had success. We saw that against San Francisco City College last week, and it'll be a fake punt. Left-hand side, a dive, and a surge forward down to the 45-yard line. And that is something in the playbook that we might expect to see. Number 30, Isaiah Nobriga, comes up with the direct snap, and the Vikings will get a first down. And this is something that we talked about a couple weeks ago. We had a fake snap to Isaiah Nobriga as he brings it forward as well. Jeff Hansen joined the team during bye week, coming back as the special teams coordinator. They didn't have one previous to the play, and we're seeing it pay off 2 times so far. Tripped out to the far-hand side. Johnson a handoff. And that's a nice hard run by Kenneth Atkins the second, as Atkins out just close to midfield. He'll only get a gain of 3 on the play, but a physical run.
And going back to the fake punt, I think the coaching staff wanted to go for it the entire time and then decided we're going to go with the fake
Exactly.
instead of an offensive play, which is why everything was late to get out there.
And a quick pass to the far side. That's Burrell catching it. And a nice hog tackle made, but it's close to the line of scrimmage. That's number 52 on the tackle. Let's try to get you a name on the play. I believe that is Jackson Kink, the linebacker. So it's 3rd down and short. A nice outside breaking route by Damani Burrell. And the Vikings are in a similar position now. 3rd down and short. Maybe just see another handoff up the middle over to Kenneth Atkins the second. And continue this drive with 4:15 counting down. Entering the huddle with 10 seconds left. The Vikings need to hurry up onto the ball now. Jerry Johnson quickly brings his team to the line of scrimmage. They'll line up in a tight bunch set to the near-hand side. 1 second left. Able to toss it near-hand side. And, a slip down and a huge tackle for loss made on the play. Kenneth Atkins dropped for a loss of 5 as Nate Glenn just saw that play perfectly. And, Kyle, in our group text, I talk about this every single week, how much I hate the toss play in this modern-day field of football. You have so many athletes across the line that toss play almost never works anymore.
Well, I have one thing to advise. Don't watch Arizona football because that's about 50% of our plays right now.
Hey, they're winning.
But
they
I
just beat Oregon State.
Hey, I didn't say it was a bad thing. I was just saying for your conscience.
Well, so it's 4th down and long here, and the Vikings will go for it from their own side of the field. A throw to the near-hand side, and Brian Pierce Jr. coming back to bring it in. A 15-yard reception on 4th down and long, and Brian Pierce makes the drive continue. I think this is what you got to do at this point. Go with tempo. No, and they will huddle up. It looked like everybody tried to get to the line, and Johnson just a little slow with the play call right now, but tempo. I think that's what you need.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't need to necessarily snap the ball fast. It's just getting up to the line, getting a tempo started instead of getting things broken up with the huddle and going out and just keeping things simple.
Ely, the lone receiver to the near side. That's an all-out blitz. Brian Pierce Jr. catches at the 35-yard line, breaks the tackle, out to the 10, the 5, touchdown! Brian Pierce Jr., a house call for the sophomore out of Pittsburgh High.
And that was a really good job by Johnson right there. Laney brought the all-out blitz. It looked like cover 0, hit the hot route on the slant, and once he beat his guy, there's nobody going to stop him to the end zone.
37-yard touchdown for Brian Pierce Jr., and the Vikings PAT unit comes out for the first time today. Zane Hull ready to try to dot the I on the PAT, 11 for 11 on extra points this year. Knock on wood. Snap is down. Kick is up. And it's no good. I thought that one went through the uprights, but the far side official says no, so Unfortunately, the broadcaster's jinx affects the scoreboard, and now the Vikings are down 11, 17-6 after the first missed extra point attempt by Zane Hall in the year. But like we talked about, Kyle, they got on top of it. The pressure didn't get to Jerry Johnson for the first time tonight. Every single time we've seen that play open, but Johnson just wasn't able to get the ball out. Stood tall in the pocket, delivered a good ball, and that's 6.
Yeah, the difference right there was Laney brought everybody. They brought the house. They didn't disguise it and go into a cover 1 or anything. They brought the house. And when you don't have that either safety or linebacker, wherever you keep at home to cover the middle of the field, if you're able to complete it, you're able to make a big play happen from it.
So Milton will be the deep man alongside, I believe that's Jaden Lawton. So Featherstone is not out there despite the fact that he had a great opening kickoff return. And Michael Vaccaro ready to boot away right to left for the Vikings. An end-over-end kick will be fielded down at about the 15-yard line. That'll be Milton from the near side, cutting it up between the hash marks. A little shoulder fake as he's tackled at the 15-yard line. Jaden Price on the special teams play. So, not a bad position to be in. 2:23 remaining here in the third quarter of play. It's a 17-6 game. It's an 11-point game. Let's see if the Vikings can do something special here on defense and get a stop. Remember, on the first opening drive of the second half, Milan ended up getting hurt at about the 3-yard line. Nishimoto has been in there, and he's had some success tonight, but it really just doesn't look like the same back. The difference between the strength of Milan and the speed of Nishimoto is a little bit different.
Yeah, it's nice when they're both healthy and able to split it up, because then you have that thunder and lightning type combo.
As the snap is off over to Sanders, and Nishimoto just no go here. A tackle from DVC. They stacked the box. They fired on the line, and it's a loss of 2 on the play as Isaiah Nobriga triggered perfectly from his linebacker spot.
And that's what Nishimoto has a little harder time doing that Milan's been doing this entire night, is making that first guy miss and falling forward and making every run 3 yards, 2-3 yards, and keeping things positive.
Same exact play call, breaking one tackle out to the 15-yard line, finding the sideline before being escorted out of bounds. It was a late hit possibly, but I don't see a flag on the field, and the flag does come in at the last possible second. It was Anthony Henry making the tackle on the sideline, and it looked like he just kept driving his feet. So that would have been about a 7-yard gain on the play for Nishimoto, but let's see if the flag stands. It looks like there's a lot of deliberation between the officials. One thing to remind yourself, it was the back judge that threw that penalty flag. It wasn't the field judge, if I'm not mistaken, or pardon me, it was the umpire. And yeah, no call. The field judge saw it perfectly on the sideline. He said, hey, it's just a fighting through, a trip on the near sideline. And so a very fortunate call for the Vikings as the ball will be spotted down at the 21-yard line. So a nice pickup on the play by Nishimoto, able to break that first tackle and make his way forward. But it will be a 3rd down and 4 with 1:38 remaining. So a late call coming in from Robert Crowley and the Laney staff. And it will be another pistol look once more. A 2-back pistol look with the fullback, and Saunders with the belt-high snap. Handoff to Nishimoto. Nishimoto met in the hole. Only a gain of 2 on the play as Nico Bowler bowled his way down the lane. And he gets a strike, forcing a 4th down, and the punt unit will come out for Laney.
That was a big collision in the hole right there. Nishimoto's logo on his helmet came off.
Oh, man.
Big boy football.
Big boy football inside. You got a couple guys weighing 220 plus fighting for it.
Yeah,
or no. Nico Bowler weighs 220, but Nishimoto's only 195. So the punter comes out once again. Nate Glenn gets a high, winding punt. Brian Pierce Jr. just having a fair catch. No, he didn't call for a fair catch, so a tackle was made at the 35-yard line, taking an additional hit that he really didn't need to take. 37 was the man to make the punt. That was, let's try to get a name on it. I believe that was Omari Catley. So Omari Catley, or no, sorry. D'Anthony Jerome, the defensive back. Had my rosters confused for just a moment. But the Vikings able to score a touchdown on their last play. It was a 37-yard passing touchdown to Brian Pierce Jr. And now let's see if Jerry Johnson, the other number 11, will have something in store to keep this game going. 11-point lead for the Eagles here. They scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter and got a field goal from about 22 yards out on their first possession, but the Vikings with 2 consecutive stops now. Johnson scrambling outright. Johnson just throws it away, and I believe this might actually be a fumble called, and it will likely just be an intentional grounding as there was no man in the vicinity. So if the call is spot exactly where they call it, that might be a 15-yard loss on the play. It is an intentional grounding call, and the ball spotted down all the way down to the 20, and that is a backbreaker right there. I understand It's like you're in the same position either way, so try to drop it off and hope there's a running back in the vicinity, but it's just a tough play one way or another.
Yeah, a lot of times you see the ball actually get thrown away, so it looks, you feel it a little more. That time he was almost to the ground, so it just is what it is.
So it's 2nd down and a quarter of the field. 2nd down and 25 from the 20-yard line. The Vikings with a huge field in front of them, and they'll come out in a shotgun spread with Gavin Cribb in the backfield. 3-step drop, throwing out the fingertips of Damani Burrell. Just about the 3rd or 4th time we've seen a drop off the fingertips tonight.
Yeah, DVC's offense is either just been throw a little bit off, or when it's been on target and on time, sometimes it just doesn't get hauled in by the wide receivers or tight end. DVC's just still having a hard time putting everything together at once for an extended period of time.
23.2 seconds remaining here in this 3rd quarter of play. And in this position, I know you got to get something going, but with the way that Laney hasn't really been able to run the ball the last couple drives, maybe you feel okay with it here. Head high snap. It's a screen pass over to Austin Hurts. Hurts trying to fight through a couple different Laney defenders as he's folded down by 3 players down to the 26. I'm glad to see him be able to get up as Logan Ketchum was the linebacker leading the charge. And so I think that'll take us down to the 4th quarter of play as the punt unit takes the field, and we'll take a break with them. Vikings to punt on the other side of the break here. They are trailing 11 here on DVC Vikings Live. Fourth down in eternity, 4th down and 20, as it was only a 5-yard catch and run on the play by Austin Hurts. And we're going to see a punt by Zane Hall to start off this 4th quarter play. Only one man really rushing, as it's a high winding punt that takes a DVC Vikings bounce, and I believe it hits a Laney player at the 39, so that's where the ball should be spotted, and that's exactly where it will be. The defense for the Vikings has gone off the field twice. Let's see if they can do it again. Once again, Milan hurt in the first drive of the second half. Nishimoto trying to do his best, but maybe we have to see the arm of Marcus Sanders more. It's a hard position to be in because Sanders really want to keep running the ball and keep turning the clock and end up winning this game. It still is a 2-possession game with 11 points.
Milan's back in there now too, so that's a good sign for Laney.
2 tight ends set to the left-hand side, and it'll be a play-action fake. Looking to throw it into the flat, and it's the fullback catching it at the 42-yard line, the 43, as he runs down the sideline for a gain of 5 before he's tackled down by Anthony Henry. And it's Jalil Heath, I believe it's 42. It is 47, so it looks like Jalil Heath, who's listed as a linebacker, is the receiver on the play. So you got a bunch of different fullback looks. I mean, as a former fullback myself, I love to see the big man come out here and get some athletic space to the near side. Hey, wasn't an offensive line the whole time.
On that one.
Oh, up back to the left-hand side, another handoff. And Milan, just some patience. And what a terrific run. Just continued to follow behind his offensive lineman and just showing that patience, getting all the way past midfield, a 5-yard gain on the play, down to the 49.
And that's the difference right there with having Milan back in the backfield. I don't think he hit full speed or even close to it. I don't think he got out of a jog the whole way. He just carried everybody. Probably made first contact about after a yard past the line of scrimmage and carried everybody for 6 or 7. That's what he can do that no other back Laney can.
Well, he didn't even necessarily carry them. He just followed his line, and the line was really building that wedge for him. Two tight end look once more. They crack back on the power and some space to the near-hand side for Milan. Milan just stiff arms the defender down as he breaks a tackle, and he brings it forward for a gain of 9 on the play. And it looks like Jaden Price was the man to make the tackle at the end of the play. And once again, not really using all of his speed. He knew that if he ran all the way at full speed to the near sideline, he would have probably only came up for a gain of 5, but really just jogged forward, used his patience, pushed down the defender, and got a 2nd down and 1. And maybe let's see if Sanders takes a shot, I should say.
They got one-on-one, no safety high, so it's just man coverage on the outside.
Up back and tight and off the right side of the line. Sanders will hand it off. And some patience in the backfield, but unfortunately his offensive line wasn't able to get there as number 72, Tassini Maake, the defensive lineman, gets the tackle. So on what was a 2nd down and 1 will turn into a 3rd down and 4, so the Vikings have an opportunity to get a stop and possibly force Laney to go for a 4th down and get off the field in this situation. We haven't really seen Marcus Sanders throw it too much in the second half of play. We've only really seen it for one drive. He had a lot of success, but they've gone to the running game the rest of the time. So a traditional shotgun spread for Sanders now. Belt high, throws it over to Featherstone, and Adrian Mache says no, no, no. Pardon me, that was actually Osei Iselin, number 17, not 15. So
should have been Featherstone though, because man, he's been catching everything tonight. If I was the quarterback for Laney, I'd be looking one way and one way only, and that's number 15, because he's been a difference maker today.
Johnny and Joe's.
Jimmy and Joe's, not X's and O's.
Nate Glenn coming out to punt it once more. Opening drive got 3 points, but since then 3 consecutive punts by Laney as the Vikings trail by 11. High winder, and just a nice job by the punt returner, really deferring all or misdirecting, I should say. Oh, wow, and a pickup on the forehand side. Yeah. And that was number 13, Anthony Munoz, the special teams player, came up. The ball was dribbling down the far side. The punt returner, Brian Pierce Jr., drew all the coverage to the near-hand side. And then Munoz, just with the heads-up play, coming up and bringing it forward. What would have been spotted down inside of the 10 will be brought out to the 14.
So what happened, too, was Laney's, I guess, winger, somebody on Laney tried to keep it in bounds, too. So once a Laney player touches it, once the punt coverage touches it, then it's a free ball. The worst thing that can happen is you get the ball where he touches it. So it's a really heads-up play, picking it up, getting extra yards, because even if you fumble it, whatever, worst thing is you get the ball where he originally touched it.
11-12 counting down in this fourth quarter, and the Vikings trailing by 11, looking to storm back. They've scored 6 points on their last drive, or pardon me, 2 drives ago. And now the motion, the tight end left to right. It's a stretch over to Kenneth Atkins, and Atkins, man, he's got to change his cleats or something, because he's slipping right at the line of scrimmage. Dropped for a loss of 1 on the play as Jackson Kink fills the hole.
Well, if these linebackers keep hitting him the way they've been hitting him too, they might just come flying off, because he's been taking some shots in the hole.
So stay into the game. Coming into this one, Kenneth Atkins, only 4 games played and 5 rushes, but he's, man, I think he's had 9 or 10 so far in this early going. We haven't seen much of Crib outside of the first possession when he's really had some success. So a tight end set off the right-hand side. Mikhail Ely, the lone receiver, to the far side. Sprinting out to the right. Pressure comes. Throws it as he's hit. And that ball was just air-mailed over the top of Brian Pierce Jr. The closest defender to the play was the safety, Demarius Hammonds.
And at some point, DVC is just going to have to open it all up. It's still a 2-possession game. You have 10:23 left. That defense is starting to labor. You know, they've been out there for a while. You're starting to get late into the fourth quarter. Got to extend drives here. Got to try to put some points up on the board because, you know, time is running out.
Yeah, and as I really said it, they went bootleg a couple different times, but the offensive line just hasn't really been able to hold up. And Jerry Johnson's being hit in the backfield. That's just not helping them out. Johnson takes the chest eye snap, throws it far side. Caught by Mikhail Ely. He's sprinting down the far sideline out to the 30, the 40-yard line, and he tiptoes his way down near midfield. Mikhail Ely, when the Vikings needed it most, rips forward a gain of 30 on the play before Jalen Lawton pushes him out of bounds. He actually stayed inbound, so the clock will still continue to run, but the Vikings working with pace now. There you go. 3 receivers to the near-hand side. Johnson, time to throw. Johnson releases, and just a tough attempt there by number 80. That was Deshaun Smith II. Deshaun Smith came back, and it looked like he readjusted to the ball. Instead of going diamond over the top, he tried to go pinky and ring finger, and then drops that ball.
Down number 2.
So a huddle here. The play call comes in by Austin Corrali, the head coach, over the near-hand side. And Johnson will enter the huddle with 15 seconds left on the play clock. The clock will stop at 9:49 here with the incomplete pass. Trips once more. Mikhail Ely alone on the short side of the field. And they'll eventually motion Burrell here. So 2 deep threats on the far-hand side for the Vikings. And the play clock hit 0. Let's see if we got a timeout or maybe a delay a game. I don't see a flag, and I do see a flag at the last second. Delay a game on the offense. The ball will be scooted back 5 yards on the play. So with 9:49 remaining here in the fourth, the Vikings facing a 2nd down and 15 now.
-5 makes it 2nd and 15.
And not the situations Laney's wanted to get into. 2nd, 15 now. They've been doing a good job throwing the short little outs, but that's really the only thing that's been hitting so far lately.
Yeah, they've just been really throwing into the flats and trying to get some guys in open space. Motion over to Brian Pierce Jr. and the end around. The Jets sweep action and a jump at the end of the play as he Spartan kicks the defender down after a gain of 3.
Brian Pierce Jr.
I think he took something from the Chabot game. We were talking about the Nordic Vikings and the Roman gladiators, and this time we see the Spartan kick.
Makes it rough.
I don't know who he thought he was going to hurdle with that one.
Oh, I think he was just trying to lay a foot into the face, Antonio Brown style.
That was.
But after all the theatrics on the field, with 9:11 counting down, the Vikings still have a 3rd down and 11 here. It's most likely 4-down territory, down 11. Johnson, a 3-step drop. Johnson just smothered. Pressure came from the inside, and it was Etu Finau, the linebacker, rushing to the quarterback. And it's 4th down, and the Vikings will be forced to punt with 8:50 remaining.
Yeah, and I don't think we've talked about Laney's defensive line enough tonight either. Those 4 up front have done a great job after that first couple possessions where Laney hasn't needed to blitz anymore, and they've just been able to sit back, linebackers fill holes, and let those front 4 get after the quarterback.
Yeah, like you said, it's just the front 4, front 7 in total.
Yep.
Zane Hall to boot it away. It's a low ball, handled well. High, winding punt. And it takes a Laney bounce as the ball bounced down at the 30. It's fielded down by a Vikings player. That was Malik Viewins, who got the first sack of the game over at the 32-yard line. And now let's see what Milan and company has in store. It's kind of funny. Sanders is the quarterback, and he's running the show. But, I mean, everybody knows it's all about number 6, the freshman out of Skyline, Simea Milan.
Yeah, and Laney's going to more than likely put the ball into Milan's hands for these last 8 minutes and see what he can do.
Double tight end set off the right-hand side. Tight end up back, and it will be another handoff. scraping down the line, up the middle, fighting through, out to the 36. And Milan, only a gain of 4 in the play, but the clock still continues to run. It'll be inside of 8 minutes by the time they take the next snap. Yeah, this is a little difference that we're seeing. Maybe we'll see a play action fake. You got both the two tight ends that typically run in there. Alex Baldry and Will Roberts are lining up on the right-hand side, so maybe you see a play action fake and a wheel wrap from one of those tight ends staying in a block and then eventually breaking free. Vikings stack in the box. It's another handoff, left side, trying to work the power. And this time, Milan just nowhere to go. Tackle made by Malik Viewins. And once again, this is what we're talking about. The tight ends are the ones pulling now. You're not pulling guards anymore. You're lining up a guy in the up back, and they're the ones coming cracking back on the power.
Yeah, and that play really should have been a loss of 2s. And Milan's having a type of night where a loss of 2 is turning into a gain of
3.
2. Yeah.
Oh, and a hard count gets the center flopping back. He comes up with the finger guns, and Elijah Ortiz trying to get in that conversation for the Oscar of the evening. So the defensive offside call will continue the clock, or continue the drive, I should say, as the clock stays at 7:05. Going to be a fresh set of downs at the 44.
We already had the punter get best actor award. The center's going for best supporting role.
Another two tight end look, I should say, off the left-hand side now. Between the hash marks, the pistol handoff. Nope, it's a play action fake. Sanders throws it over to his tight end, and he's wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage by Anthony Henry. Alex Baldry, the tight end out of Bristol, UK.
Met by 4. Anthony Henry.
Yeah, a lot of different international players. 5 different international students on this Laney College roster. 4 from the UK and 1 for Australia.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
I think it's just 1 Aussie.
Aye.
Another 2 tight end look from the 4 hash mark, and Saunders out of the shotgun once more. A handoff, and it's a slow developing one over the right side. And just met right at the line of scrimmage once more by Cameron Moore. Cameron Moore going to be joining the men's basketball team after the football season is over next week. We're going to see what he can do on the hardwood floor after seeing what he's been able to do all season long on the gridiron. 6'7", 260 freshman out of Wood High School.
No gain on the play, 39.
Clock continues to run down inside of 5 minutes, or pardon me, inside of 6 minutes at the 5:30 mark here. And the play clock down to 10, 8, 7. Marcus Sanders in the pistol spread. Motions Featherstone inside of the slot, and it will be a traditional pass. Far side into double coverage. And the Vikings were right on top of it. Coverage on the play was played by Marcel Anderson with some support from Anthony Munoz, and Mikel Fuller was the intended receiver on the play. 4th down now, and the Vikings for the 3rd time able to get off the field, but they still are trailing by 11 here with 5:19 remaining. So a very positive sign to see for the Vikings here as they actually get the clock to stop without having to burn a timeout. Let's see if the offense can kick it into gear once more as Brian Pierce Jr. will await the punt from Nate Glenn. Heels are at the 30. And, it looked like the Vikings might have been able to block that, but after 2 possible calls on the play, it'll just be a fair catch down to the 20-yard line. I actually want to see the Vikings go for that ball once more. I know you're in a difficult situation, but the pressure has been getting right in the face of Nate Glenn all night long. I think you just got to time it a little bit better, dive in front of the ball, trying to meet it at the point rather than diving into the kicker. But I feel like we might see a punt on possibly the next possession. Or a punt block, I should say, on the next possession.
And DVC's at the point where they're not punting anymore themselves. They got to go for just about everything at this point.
3 timeouts in the pocket, but there's only 5:13 left on the board, and Jerry Johnson trying to compose another scoring drive. Johnson standing tall in the pocket, sidearm sling past the line of scrimmage, past the line of gain, and it's Mikel Ely running a 10-yard breaking route. Getting a gain of 11 on the play before Jaden Lawton makes the tackle, and the Vikings hurrying to the line now. Getting the call from his head coach, Corrali, checks the wristband, and he lines up quickly. Trips to the near hand side from the 4 hash mark for Johnson. Johnson, another quick ball, and that's through the bread basket of Brian Pierce Jr. Incomplete pass, making it 2nd down and 10, but the clock does stop at the 4:49 mark. Coverage on the play by Jackson King.
Yeah, and DVC's had a hard time the entire night with those little soft routes where the wide receiver's sitting down just in the soft area because Laney's been playing zone coverage, and just the wide receiver quarterback just aren't seeing the same things where he thinks that they're going to sit down a little further or a little shorter and just can't be on the same page.
Another shotgun look here for Jerry Johnson. Johnson possibly facing a blitz. And they send the pressure off the near hand side. Johnson with the hot route, throws it, and it's a jump ball intercepted at the 49-yard line. A cut, a break of a pass, and that's an INT by Demarius Hammonds. The freshman out of Oakland Tech gets his 4th interception of the year, and that's a big one for the defensive back at the 4:41 mark with an 11-point lead. Laney will get the ball back. Oh, man, I was going to talk about how Johnson has not forced the ball, and that's really been to his favor all night long. But as the pressure comes, he throws the ball up, and he pays the price.
Yeah, and he got used to Laney just sitting back into coverage, and Laney switches things up, brought the blitz off the blind side. It almost got home. He tried to just lay one out there because the wide receiver was nowhere near breaking off his route yet. And it just floated on him a little too long. The DB was able to pick it up first and got the interception.
Fullback back into the game as Sanders will hand it off once more. Some more patience, finally turns on the Jets. And the Jets result in some power as he brings the ball forward for a gain of 6. That was Simeon Milan once more.
Yeah, it turned on the Jets and turned on the boom.
Just the real patience. I mean, you know what this is giving me vibes of? Do you remember those old Wake Forest offense where they'd run the read option and just hold the ball at the mesh point for like what seemed like 5 Mississippi seconds? That's what these handoffs are looking like. It's just so patient, holding it in the pocket and then eventually giving it up, and it's really paying dividends. Fullback and tight end, they run the power crackback and the cutback, as he just drags Vikings defenders with him past the sticks. Jordan Davis makes the tackle. We've called his name quite a lot tonight, but really it's Simeon Milan bringing the ball forward, running the clock down inside of 4 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't grow up watching a lot of Wake Forest football, to be quite honest with you. What it kind of looks like to me is prime Le'Veon Bell when he was with the Steelers young, or while he was at Michigan State, if we want to keep it with college football, where he was always super patient in the backfield, waited for things to get set up with his blockers, and then would just go and hit that hole.
Another tight end and fullback off the left-hand side. A chest-high ball and another handoff once more. And that's just making the first man miss and the driving the pile for Simeon Milan. Well, it looks like it should be a loss on the play. Turns into a 5-yard gain. And for a guy that got injured on the first play, or the first drive, of the first half, he is just closing out this game. And the reason I didn't go with Le'Veon Bell there is because I hate that comparison. Because everybody always talks about, oh, he's showing that Le'Veon Bell-esque patience. But in this situation, I will give it to you because he is absolutely deserving of that.
He is.
And so the Vikings forced to burn their first timeout of the half here. And it'll come at the 3:05 mark of the fourth quarter. And we'll take the timeout as well. Back in about 15 seconds here on DVC Vikings Live.
Game time, 7 p.m. Final game of the season for the Vikes.
Ball spotted down at the 30. It's a 2nd down and 6 with an 11-point lead. And Sanders handing off to Million. Seems to be the recipe for success. Isaac Nishimoto, rather, was the man to get the carry this time as Cameron Moore makes the tackle. And Nishimoto, a gain of 3, and it's 3rd down and 2 now. Clock inside of 3 minutes, and the Vikings take another timeout. Vikings just having to burn it. At this point, you're going to have to get the ball back, have to stop. I mean, realistically, if it is a field goal attempt, it'll turn into a 14-point game, so you're still in there, so you'll live with it if Laney decides to go with the field goal at the end of this this drive.
Yep.
But at this point, the Vikings need 2 scores badly. They need to get it quickly and probably get an onside kick at this point.
Yeah, Laney scoring a field goal right here isn't a backbreaker. Like you said, you still need 2 touchdowns anyway, so instead of going up, you just tie it. Laney's offensive line, though, these last couple plays, they are feeling it. They are eating, and you can tell, too, they're having pancakes is what they're eating because they're flattening a lot of DVC D linemen, and they're excited to do it, too.
Yeah.
They're getting up, clapping hands. You can tell right now they want the ball on the ground, and they're going to go to work.
Hate to see it as a fellow former defensive lineman here with the Vikings. It just hurts my soul. I got a shirt with DVC on the front and hashtag DLineU on the back, and right now it's just not quite looking like that. The depth hasn't quite been here for the Vikings, and they play well throughout the first half, and then fatigue hits. Back and fullback once more, and it's Milan once more, just showing some massive amounts of patience, putting the foot into the ground, and that will be a 1st down.
Yeah, but to DVC's line's credit, too, they fought hard the entire game. They just been out there a lot.
Yeah, I would probably say if I had to give a percentage, 70% probably. I mean, the Vikings come into this game with an average of 27 minutes and 25 seconds of time of possession, and Laney, on the other hand, comes in 33 minutes of time of possession. So that's bottom 7 compared to top 20. It's just that's the name of the game.
Yeah, and you can tell tonight that Laney has no problem. They want the ball in their hands. They want to give their defense time to rest up, and they want to run the ball, and that's exactly what their game plan has been the whole night. And then sprinkling some play-action pass here and there, and you know, the quarterback's done a really good job of completing and, you know, not making a big mistake at any point of the game, just managing everything, which is what quarterbacks are supposed to do, especially when your running back's running as well as Milan has the entire day.
Yeah, Milan is just – he's everything you'd expect him to be, even in games where he hasn't had much success, because really it's been up and down. He's had some games where he's had 200 yards and other games where he's had 30 carries for 60 yards, and this is just one of them where he's just racking up the yak and racking up the yardage as the handoff. Nope, it's a play-action fake over to Nishimoto to the far-hand side and trying to drop it into the bucket of Featherstone, but Samaje was covered up tightly by Marcel Anderson.
Yeah, Featherstone just kind of cut his route off right there. It wasn't a bad throw.
To be honest, though, a little bit of a
head scratcher throwing it right there.
Exactly. With no timeouts in the pocket of DVC and 2:42 remaining, I understand you want to close out the game, but time is on your side at this point. Mr. Crowley, I know you want to put some points on the board, but
you know, when you got BDE, you just got to try to finish it out when you can. I don't mind going for the kill.
And a handoff this time over to Nishimoto, and Nishimoto swarmed at the point. Christian Evans, the sophomore out of Sheldon High in Sacramento, tackling on the play.
I want to be shocked if I got a call from Coach Crowley after this.
Coach Crowley, my freshman year quarterback. One of the greatest plays I've ever seen came off his arm. Special teams, they kick the ball all the way down to the goal line. He ends up throwing a lateral 49 yards to the other side, and it was a wide open alley down the sideline. And a touchdown on an opening kickoff, as Albany probably scored their only points against John Sweat that game. He's calling the plays here as Sanders trying to close this one out. Another handoff. And the Vikings able to get a stop here. From this point, it'll be about a 36-yard field goal attempt, as it looks like, I believe Christian Evans made the tackle, and he's checking out of the game now as Nathan Kinsley comes back in. And it was Demaney Nelson Wilson with the tackle. So the field goal unit will come out. 1 for 1 on the evening for Billy Hewitt. And with inside of 2 minutes to play, Laney trying to make this a 14-point game. From this spot, it'll be a 41-yard field goal attempt. They're going to wait all the way down to the last second and likely take a timeout. And now that is a very well-managed clock by Crowley and staff there. 1:11 left in this fourth quarter. A timeout taken. That's the first of the half by the Laney Eagles, but they lead this one 17-6, pending a field goal attempt on the other side here on DVC Vikings Live. A 41-yard field goal attempt by Billy Hewitt. His long on the year is 42. Perfect on the year. Snap is off. Hold is down by O'Connell. The kick is up. Splits the uprights. 14-point lead after the 41-yard field goal attempt. And it's a 20-6 game. 3 more points for the Eagles, and the Vikings need to do the improbable with 1:06 remaining. You can just see the body language by the Vikings on the sideline. They really wanted this one. Laney not having a great year. DVC having a trying year as well. Wanted to get some bragging rights in the Base 6 conference, but Laney's just had their number. The Vikings did so well in the first half. It was a shutout throughout 1 quarter of play. But when you run the ball the way Laney does, the defense starts to break down. And when that happens, you start to give up yardage. Really not many chunk plays. It's just been 5, 7, 10, 12, 15. But slow and steady, the burn gets through. And eventually, it builds up to this 14-point game.
Yeah, it really has just been death by 1,000 paper cuts tonight for DVC. They haven't been able to get any chunk plays on offense themselves, and neither has Laney, to be honest. DVC might have the biggest chunk play of the night on their own touchdown.
Yeah, the 37-yarder to Brian Pace Jr.
Yep. But that defense, they've been out there a long time, and they've been holding their own. At the end of the day, they've been out there the whole night and only let up 20 points.
You know what this reminds me of? The Raiders. Defense holds up. They do their job. They bend, but they don't really break. You hold them to 20, but the offense just hasn't been able to get it done tonight. So let's see if we see an end-over-end kick or a squib kick here. Austin Hertz has had quite a few good returns tonight, and this one will be a ball that's able to be returned from the 3-yard line. Hertz takes it on top of the numbers. He veers back inside. A jump cut reverses the field out to the 20. And Austin Hertz just doing his best to get forward, but only a gain of 17 on the play as Diego Camacho on special teams makes the hit. So inside of 1 minute to play, I mean, at this point, Hail Mary, Hail Mary, Hail Mary. You just got to push it down the field as far as possible. It doesn't really matter. Now it's just find Mikael Ely, find Damani Brunell, and just try to push it downfield as much as possible, right?
Yeah, obviously, you got to push it downfield. This first play is going to be important to see how Laney comes out and in what defensive coverage. If they go full prevent or if they're going to stick to their standard cover 3 that they've been playing majority of the night.
That's what it looks like right now. Yeah, they do drop back into that cover 3, and it'll be a low pass to the feet of Ely.
Yeah.
Clock stops at 56 seconds remaining. I'm not even going to say the point anymore because in junior college football, you actually can't have fractional seconds on the clock. We learned that last year. So we'll stick with 56 seconds remaining now.
Yeah, so even though it was incomplete, now you know what type of defense Laney's going to want to try to run majority of this
And now you
last
try to work that
possession.
deep out, right?
Exactly. I actually like the deep out from the slot position and run a 9 on the outside to carry that corner out of. And you can either run the out or a corner if you want from slot.
Head-high snap. It'll be a handoff this time. The handoff goes over to number 10. That's Kenneth Atkins the second. And that's a gain of 5, but the clock runs down. So the Vikings hurrying up to the line inside of 45 seconds to play here. And the play clock isn't quite getting there in time. Hands are on the hips. And that might be the white flag.
I was just about, you took the words right out of my mouth. That looked like a white flag play, and it doesn't look like another play call is coming in except one more to finish the game. So possibly another run here and call it a night.
So the Vikings will come out in a shotgun spread. Johnson and Kenneth Atkins are in the backfield. And it will be a last handoff up the middle. And the sophomore out of Ann Arbor, Michigan will get a first down for the Vikings out to the 38-yard line. But with 10 seconds left on the play clock, we're going to bring it down to the final whistle here. 20-6. The Laney Eagles come out, and in their strong second quarter of play, they take a 14-point lead, and that seems like it was too much for the Vikings to handle. After that, the Vikings were able to answer back, and they were able to get 6 points on the board after a 37-yard pass from Jerry Johnson over to Brian Pierce Jr., but it was all Laney all night long, and the MVP of the night definitely has to go to Simeon Milan. We don't have official live stats tonight, but really, he's been the bread and butter. I mean, he's the main course. He's not even a side. Throw a steak down in the middle of the plate, and that's exactly what he was. You got to cut it up a million times, and it's delicious the whole entire way through, but he is the cream of the crop tonight.
Absolutely no. He had a great game. If he was steak, he was at prime rib tonight, and he was eating. So, good job by Laney.
Terrific job.
DVC fought out there the entire game. The defense held their head up high throughout. Just couldn't get that offense going through the whole night.
So the Vikings will be back for their final game of the season, a home game next Friday the 10th, and we'll have the action here on DVC Vikings Live as the Vikings take the Mustangs of San Joaquin Delta here at Viking Stadium and try to close out senior night with the win here and get their third win of the season. But congratulations to Laney College. They got their third win. They've had a very trying season as well, and they will get a very well-earned victory, I should say, with this 20-6 lead. Congratulations to our friend Robert Crowley, our friend Coach Beam, and the Laney Eagles, and see you next year. So, until the next time we see you next week, it's been a trying game ahead of us, and we'll see a very chippy affair. If you remember last year, San Joaquin Delta, over at San Joaquin Delta, the Vikings actually didn't even shake hands. They got a lot of feistiness at the end of the play, so hopefully we see some better sportsmanship. But expect to see a physical, expect to see a chippy game next week here at Viking Stadium to close out the year. So for Ryan Shell, for Zane Massey, for Kyle Tannehill, my name's Max Agrest, bringing you coverage of DVC Vikings football all night long. And remember, tune in tomorrow. DVC Vikings basketball has their first home game of the season on the hardwood floor, about a tenth of a mile away from us. So either come out or we'll have coverage here. Broadcast link will come out about 30 minutes before tip-off. So some more Vikings action coming your way on DVC Vikings Live. But tonight, the Vikings drop to the Laney Eagles 20-6 here. Thank you to everybody for joining us. And as always, horns up.